Like this. Hit it.
The Roger Report live morning show, weekdays at 9 a.m.
Say y'all, I was on Roger's panel a few times and I couldn't take it. The heat. I got out the kitchen. It was hot. I was sweating. I had to get out.
He's Roger, and he's right.
Check this out.
We can live or die. You choose. I have spoken to you a lot of times in hatred and anger, and you have not heard me. Well, you had better hear me today. If you won't listen to me when I make an appeal for the Negroes because you have no concern for the Negroes, listen to me when I make an appeal for America. You claim you love America. Well, we love America. But you are driving us back and you are making a Samson out of us, and we are going to pull down the pillars. And then you think we have no right to ask for something? Is it too much to ask you to grant us human dignity? Should we be put down and shot to death for this request? If so, you can aim your guns. What the hell do you think we care about dying if you're going to deny us the right to live?
Good morning, folks, and welcome to another edition of the Roger Report Live, the best show on social media. If you are new to the channel, well, go ahead and hit that like button, because this is where you're going to get the best content on social media, and you don't have to worry about it because you're going to have me right here to make sure that happens. And if you've already been coming to the channel for a while, then go ahead, hit that like button, because you already know what time it is, and you know that this is where you're going to get the best content on social media. It's not a mystery to you at this point. You've seen other people do it. You've seen other people do it well, but what you have not seen is anyone do it quite the way I do it. So make sure you hit that like button, and everyone, yes, everyone, take a moment out to share the content, y'all. There are so many people who need to get great content like this, and it's just a small thing you can do to help the world be a better place. And isn't that what we want at the end of the day? Don't we want the world to be a better place? Of course we do. So share the content out. Share it through your social media. Share it through word of mouth, or even text someone's phone. But do what you got to do to help spread the word. All right, folks, today we are coming back with another interesting subject, because y'all know that's just how I do it. That's how I do it. I got to keep it interesting, y'all. I got to keep it interesting. All right? And we're going to deal with a very realistic idea that black men need to grab hold to. Is do black men do better because of the government or because of ourselves? Okay. Do black men do better because of our government or because of ourselves? This is a very real thing for black men that we definitely need to think about. Okay. There are certain things that, some folks knew in the past, but you got people who are being born, they lose track of an idea. Certain information not necessarily passed down from person to person. You got to have the right ideas to get the right results. That's how it usually works. But so we're gonna definitely look into this now. Before I get started, of course, I got to give credit what credit is due. There are people who come through and they give support to the channel that is much needed, and they make a difference, because I cannot do things the same way without these folks. So shout out to everybody who's done it. And I tell you before, y'all, big or small, I do appreciate it all. All right. So shout out to, and hopefully I'm pronouncing this correctly, Ilika Spain. He is the sponsor of today's stream. So shout out to Ilika Spain. He is the sponsor of today's stream, y'all. Big or small, I do appreciate it all. And if you just give me time, I'm gonna get to you. Okay. So shout out to Illica Spain, the sponsor of today's stream. Appreciate you big time, brother. Appreciate you big time. And y'all know over here there can only be one. When you start a show, it's always great to see people starting to check in, but there can only be one. So I got to say shout out to the Highlander of today's stream, the righteous teacher who is in the building. He is the Highlander of today's stream. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. Glad to see you here. Glad to see you here. And that's real talk. Okay. And excuse me. All right. All right. Also, shout out to my main man, Inspired Truth Broadcast, coming through right behind him. Good to have you, brother. Good to have you. Sarah B is here. Hey, Sarah. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Okay. Shout out to J Dub, the deputy on the grill, is in the building. Great to see you, my friend. Great to see you. You know, we definitely gonna do some cooking today. I really believe that's gonna be the case. We got my main man A.L. Evans in the building. Good to see my brother. Yay, yay. Trail Bentley is in the house representing like he always does. Hashtag long live the habitual line steppers. Hashtag Negroes in the wilderness. Hashtag dignity over vagina. Hashtag Al Gore's baby. And my personal favorite, hashtag Hell Hydra. Good to see you in the building, my brother. Good to see you in the building. Okay, Afro Merchant is here. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Floyd Thompson is here as well. Yay, yay. You know, good to see you. Good to see you. We got Boot Camp in the house. Great to see you as well, my brother. Great to see you as well. You know, so we filling out the cool table real good, y'all. We filling out the cool table real good. And shout out to my main man, Tunnel Runner. I see you in the building. I see you. And shout out to the pit master himself, y'all, who helps keep everything in line with the pit crew. Appreciate you, three brothers, big time. My main man, Chef Mike's Roundtable, is in the building. Shout out to you, brother. Shout out to you. All right, y'all. I'm gonna deal with some stuff, y'all. We are now in a place where we have this overall black community. Yeah, the overall black community. There's a lot of people with the idea we should be further along than what we are right now. Okay, you know. Now, while we're not further along, a lot of people will make some excuses. If you say, well, this is why we're not further along, some folks gonna say, no, that's not true. You know, people are gonna be in denial about certain things. You know, white supremacy is a regular thing here in America. So if you are actually born to this country, it's gonna be part of what's going on with you as you're growing up. If you grow up here. Now, shout out to all my other folks listening from around the world, because I do appreciate y'all big time. You know, so I love and appreciate all y'all listening from around the world. And I do know there's other places in the world that, you know, they do some similar things that happen in America. All right. And there's a lot of people who say, y'all need to do this and y'all need to do that. Okay. A lot of folks would just say black men too lazy. Let's just keep it real. A lot of folks will say black men are too lazy, and that's why the black community looks the way it does. They need to be more serious. Or they'll start talking about stuff that, you know, they'll say, well, you know, it's too many fatherless homes. The problem is black men, because there's too many fatherless homes. So now, let's take a look. When do black men do better? Are we doing better with the government, or do we do better without the government? Now, when did black men in general get some government help? Okay. It was around about the 60s. Okay. Yes, it was. Around about the 60s, 70s, you know, there was government help. Okay. The government said, hey, we didn't break them in slavery. And I do think this is something black folks really need to come to terms with. The government said we did not break them in slavery. That's what the U.S. government said. They understood they did not break black men through slavery. They get that. Now, do black women get it? Probably not. Okay, because they don't want to. All right, they have the same information available to them that other folks do. So, does the average black woman get that? I don't think they do. And I just think because they don't want to. It's not that they can't. You know, a lot of us as men, we give women a break saying they don't know and they don't understand. They got the same access to information you do. How they don't understand? You know, and people who live day to day trying to manipulate situations to get the outcome that they are looking for, it's hard to say those folks don't understand what's going on because they're more in tune to a lot of stuff than men would even be in tune to. Because they got to understand how it works so they can get somebody else to do something so they can get the result they want. And you know, that concept, I don't think men really pay attention to. If I got to manipulate you to get what I want, I got to understand stuff at a very high level so my manipulation tactic will work. Now, I'm not saying every manipulation is something evil or bad. Someone may be trying to manipulate you for a positive reason, but you got to have a certain level of understanding to manipulate somebody properly so you can get the result you want without you doing the work. So I do think a lot of men, we got to back off this idea that they don't understand because they do. You know? Now, America has to understand because America made a decision. And I think a lot of people just don't accept that America made a decision. Okay? America made a decision that they wanted black folks at the bottom. Okay? They've been trying to carry out that decision the whole time. You know, we were already technically on the bottom when slavery was going on. All right? Now, once slavery got removed, America had an issue with the fact that black men started performing so well without slavery. And I know people may not see it this way, but America got embarrassed. That's a huge thing. Okay? America got embarrassed. And what was America? Basically, white folks. White folks got completely embarrassed once slavery came to an end. And a lot of people say, well, what are you talking about? Well, you got to think about things in the time that it happened in. In the time that it happened in. See, if you think about the mindset of people way back in 1865, you know, not today, you know, think about what was going on in 1865. You had these white guys, right? They in a country that was made and designed for them to succeed in. All right. They promoted this thing about these black men. They niggas. They're dumb. They're stupid. They're slow. You know, we should be able to rule over them because mentally they are not there. They're a little bit better than the other animals. That's where they are mentally. Okay. They're clowns. You've been promoting this for a good period of time. Okay. You've been promoting this for a good period of time. Now, an issue came up. You had a war. The war was won. Now, because the right side won the war, because black men came and bailed you out. You got to think about this, y'all. Black men came and bailed you out. The Union was fighting. Union was about to take a loss. And you know what? We got to let them niggas fight. We got to let them niggas fight. And that's what it was, y'all. There was no respect. Okay, but I'm sure when they were saying we got to let them niggas fight, they were saying it with that, of course they were saying it with the hard ER. We got to let those niggers fight. That's what was going on. Now, what happens? The niggas came and rescued your behind. The niggas came and turned things around. The niggas turned the tide for you. The niggas allow you to win the war. And you know what happened? These things kind of got out and there was whispers and talking about it, because there were people who participated in it. They said a little something. Yeah, man, we was about to go down till them niggas saved us. They had us cornered till these niggas showed up. And of course, people gonna say stuff in a quote unquote innocent way. You know, you just talking to your friends and family. And now word is starting to spread amongst folk that niggas are better. Did y'all hear that? Yeah. You know, the white guys was doing their thing, but the niggas had to come rescue the white guys. So now you have the mindset that people are developing that niggas are better. Now that's not good for white America, okay? Not for the stuff that people had set in place. That ain't good for white America. You know, you done had a whole war. Like this is, you know, I mean, we didn't have social media back then. You know, people didn't have TVs in their homes back then. You know, the newspapers dominated more what you were gonna get through the media. You know, and you know, I can't tell you everything they put in the newspapers. I'm pretty sure some people put something in the papers. Then you had people saying that that's not true, and then you had some arguing going on, and then somebody would give an eyewitness account. No, I was there with them niggas saved out behind. You know, yeah, they said that in the paper. They lying because I was there with them niggas saved it. So now you got this thing going on after slavery that these niggas done rescue white men. These niggas done rescued the country. Now you still got this, you got this Jim Crow in place where folks are separated. So now what's going on? Niggas is building up their own cities. Okay? You know, black men swallowed a lot of pride back then. You know, a lot of folks, I done said before, had to go work for the same slave master. Okay? Slavery stopped. He's not the master no more. But you ain't got no job either. So you had to go to that same master that you want to kill. You had to swallow your pride for your family and say, look here, boss, we need to make some kind of deal. Okay? We need to make some kind of deal so we can, you know, so you can get yours and I can get out and I can get mine. That's just what it was. I got to get mine because I got a family to take care of. And a lot of us, we never think about those guys from that transitioning standpoint. Now, those are true heroes when you think about it, y'all. Them folks that transition from slavery to either a sharecropper or employee of the same guy who had them in slavery. Those are heroes. Those are black men doing what they got to do to make it happen. Not making excuses. Okay, they just making it happen. And that's been something black men been doing. Now, do we get credit for it? Of course not the way we should, but it's been happening. So that's a whole generation of heroes right there. Okay, whole generation of heroes. All right. Now, black men, we ain't trip. Yo, we had this whole segregation movement. Niggas can't be where the white folks at. Black men wasn't tripping about that. Black men went and started making their own towns. They started building up their own situations. Okay, we can build our own houses. We can build our own grocery stores. We can build our own hospitals. And that's what they did. Okay. When white folks and black folks was truly getting separated from each other, black folks start thriving. Now, what y'all think white men thought about the fact that black men started building up their own little towns? Okay. Creating their own situations. White folks didn't want to mess with them like that. So wherever white folks wouldn't mess with them, they had to quote unquote do it for themselves. Now you start separating people. That means white folks not finna build your house. So who gonna build it? You gotta build it. White folks ain't finna put no roads down for you. You got to handle that. Now, not that roads was like that anyway, but you know, whatever needed to happen, you had to do it for yourself. So these niggas, you know, even though white people hated it, these niggas did for self. As much as they possibly could, they did for self. You know? Now, what do y'all think the climate was 1865, 1875, 1885. Well, you got these women who saw people come out of slavery and start doing for themselves and building up their own towns and whatnot. What y'all think the women thought about that? You know, I don't think a lot of people think about that. What y'all think the women thought about that? Okay. Them niggas, they came and bailed y'all out when it came to that war. Interesting. Now we got this whole segregation thing, and them niggas they seem to be doing okay for themselves. You know, I'm not saying I ain't saying we put up skyscrapers and nothing during that time, but comparatively, what we had to work with versus on what everybody else had to work with, the quote unquote, the niggas seem to be doing all right. I bet you white women found that very interesting. Okay. And I'm pretty sure they found it interesting in the way where their lady parts would tingle. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure you had a lot of white men who got upset that if they was in some area together, that quote unquote white wife couldn't keep her eyes off them niggas because she curious. Things like that are gonna happen. Okay, things like that are gonna happen. Why? Because that's natural human behavior. And like I said, we talk about history, and when people talk about history, they a lot of times they remove the human part of history. There's things going on with human beings that's gonna happen. Okay, the niggas done bailed us out the war. The niggas is why we have a union. Okay, and not only that, we know we cheating these niggas. You know, it ain't like white women don't know that white men are cheating niggas every time they can. We gonna cheat you in the sharecropping situation every time we can. Yeah, man, I went and sold everything. This is all we got. So this is your half, and, you know, and this is my half. You know, but of course he only talking about 25% of whatever he got for the money. Yeah, man. Yeah, I sold it all. This is all I got for it. So this is your half. This is my half. Now all you got is the white man's word. Which when have white man's word been worth a hill of beans to black men? When has white man's word been worth a hill of beans to black men? Okay, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Okay, so the U.S. government has been doing everything they can to watch black men, track black men, see how black men move, see how they operate, what they're going to do. Why? Because they got to throw in something to disturb what black men are doing. It's been that way since slavery came to an end, quote unquote, officially. A lot of people don't get that. Yeah, I didn't say it before. Y'all know when black people talking about something, you always got some white person who show up who want to report back. You know, that's what it is. Now, I know I done had a few channels, but even in this channel, y'all done seen some white men pop up. Why do y'all see white men pop up? Now, I understand we got some white women over here. They come in peace, okay? They good. They fine, okay? It's not an issue for them. But you got white men who pop up over here from time to time, and the stuff that's being said bothers them so much, they let it be known that they here. Now, my thing is they've always been watching. That's just how it go. If you do a channel like mine, they always been watching. Soon as they found out about it, it's always been some white men watching. I know they listen. They want to see what these quote unquote niggas gonna do, what these niggas gonna come up with. You know, they gonna report back. It just is what it is. I just don't worry about it because I don't worry about stuff I can't control. They want to know what we talking about. They always have. Because white men have always seen black men as a threat. Point blank, period. You know, and the thing is, I don't think black people really paid attention to the fact that we embarrassed them. We've been embarrassing them since we quote unquote got our freedom. Let alone the embarrassment we was doing beforehand. But see, once slavery came to that official end, where you could only legally be a slave if you convicted of a crime, we've been embarrassing them. And I'm not saying we've been embarrassing by trying to go out our way to embarrass them. Okay? That's not the thing. We don't go out our way to embarrass them. We just perform the way we know how to perform. Now, if they find that to be embarrassing, how is that our fault? It's not our fault. So what they want to do, some of the same things they were doing in slavery. We gotta make sure these niggas is not in charge. If these niggas is in charge, they a problem. Okay? These niggas in charge, they a problem. So we definitely gotta keep that black man out the house. So when's the last time the government, quote unquote, tried to help black men? Well, you know how we can help you niggas? This is how we gonna help you niggas. How about this? If your family is struggling, we'll give them some money. Okay? We'll give them some food. We'll make it where they can live. And they start selling this welfare system as if it was a help to us. And there's a lot of things that people look at but we don't really get the sense of it. And that's why I say, people talk about the civil rights era. Now, I don't fault nobody for doing what they did, but when you look at what black folks got, it ain't what we asked for. All right, I know it's gonna be viewed as a victory. I know the era is viewed as a victory for us, and I'm not saying there was no victories involved, but I know we didn't get what we asked for. I do know that. Okay, but of course, mainstream media dresses it up. They try to, they try to give you a presentation and try to make sure you never look at the information, y'all. Information is far more important than presentation. All right, and I don't think we get it, y'all. We've been embarrassing white folk the whole time. Okay, the whole time this country done been what it was, or has been what it is. We've been embarrassing them. Now it's not that we trying to embarrass white men. Okay, that ain't what it is. All right, we just living our lives. We doing our things. But they're very much concerned about us embarrassing them. Now, when other people embarrass them, y'all think about it. They don't go so hard at other folks who embarrass them, and they have been embarrassed by other people. Well, maybe they never thought about it. When they look at incomes and they see that other groups of people earn more than them, you know, should they be embarrassed? you know, I don't know if they may be so focused on us, they don't even pay attention. Like, okay, so now you got some other groups of people who've come into the country and they make more per household than white people in this country who's had every single advantage. But they don't seem to go at these other folks who do that. Now, this is not me saying anything against the people who actually outperform white folks from a financial aspect. Not this ain't me saying nothing about them. I'm just saying they don't seem to go after them. It's always about us, it seems like. It's always about us. Okay? When we do it, it's a problem. Everybody else do it seem to be okay. They trying to get theirs, we just trying to get ours. So I think every black man truly needs to understand that no matter what's going on with other people, you the target. Okay? You are the actual target. When you see Indians doing well, I understand you may feel some type of way as far as how they treat the Indian guy versus how they treat you. They can accept the Indian guy doing better than them. They just can't accept you doing better than them. Okay? And I understand because when you set up a whole country to make sure that these niggas Can't do it. See, they ain't set the country up to stop an Indian. Okay, they didn't set the country up to stop an Asian. They didn't set the country up to stop a Hispanic. They set it up to stop these niggas. That's what they did. Okay. Now, have they pulled stuff on other people? Sure. But the thing is, since before this country has been established as the country it is to this day, they've been trying to stop niggas. You know? So they figured out they can't stop niggas. They didn't figure that out already. They hope to God that it ain't true. It's like a thing they just don't want to accept. We can't really stop these niggas. They don't want to accept that. All right. So they're going to keep messing with us, period. And I think a lot of us need to accept that as a reality. They're going to keep messing with us, period. Because to them, we niggas, and niggas should not do well because of our history. We just can't do it. You know, niggas cannot do well because there's just too much history there. And if niggas do well, that's not saying America is good. Think about it, y'all. You got a whole country that's been trying to get these niggas in check since day one. Now, you know, there's a more global stage now where, you know, people in other countries can hear stuff about what's going on with a person in a whole other country. Okay. So now in front of the world, you know, they can't stop these niggas. Now, I've mentioned before, I remember meeting some Asian young ladies. You know, they said a crazy thought, but they were not from this country. They told me we thought all black people was rich. That's what they you know, these was a couple Asian young ladies, y'all. So they're young. You know, I get it. You know, TV influence and things like that. They said we thought all black folks was rich. That's what they said. Why? Because they see rappers on TV. They see football players on TV. They see basketball players on TV. They only see, you know, well, obviously based on what America was willing to put out there, because, you know, you got to look at what's being, all this stuff is being controlled through mainstream media. So all they saw was niggas perform. So they assume all the black people rich over in America, and they were young, so I can accept that might have been an actual thing for them because they were young. It wasn't like they were older. I think when I spoke with them, and this was years ago, but I think they were like coming. If my memory is correct, I think they came to America to go to college. So you know they young, they don't know no better. Okay, so based on what they saw, they thought, you know, black folks was just rich in general. We probably was the richest people here. You know, so I can believe that that might be a real thing they actually believe at that time because they were coming here to go to college. So they some youngsters at the end of the day. So I can believe that. And you know, we get different ideas of people based on what television told us. Now that we have the internet, you can kind of sneak in and see other stuff besides what mainstream television is telling you what to think. But beforehand, y'all, that's really where we got our perceptions of other people, is whatever mainstream television kind of told us. All right. So now we done had America be this country, and it has been viewed as a great country. It's viewed as a world power. And then you probably have scholars in other places who have figured out that the only reason America is in the position that it is because of them niggas. You know, yeah, y'all a cool country and all that. Yeah, you may dominate this, you may dominate that. But remember, the only reason y'all are who y'all are is because of them niggas. Now, y'all, do we get to go to every meeting that a government representative deals with? Of course not. We don't do that. Do we get to know everything that they say? No, of course we don't. But humans are humans. So humans gonna do human things. All right. So if you don't like where America is, because America is still viewed as a superpower. How do you insult somebody from America? You know, you want to insult the American government. You telling me, yeah, I recognize that you a superpower. You got stuff that we ain't got. But you know why you got that stuff? It's because of them niggas. Them niggas you hate so much. That's the only reason America's a powerful country, because of them niggas. You know? And the thing is, would you let that go if you're another country? If you're a smaller country, or you're not viewed as a world power, you know, and you want to insult America, would you not remind America that they wouldn't be in the position they in if it wasn't for them niggas? Now, yeah, I understand y'all would say, hey, well, it's folks coming from other countries. There's certain levels of professionalism and things like that's gonna happen. Certain things will take place. Yeah, y'all humans are humans, man. Humans are humans. I'm pretty sure at some point in time, they gonna say, you talking all that crazy, but you wouldn't be nothing if it wasn't for them niggas. And I'm pretty sure America hates that. Okay? I'm pretty sure they hate it. Now, I'm not saying we get to see that stuff in the public like we probably would want to. But y'all, it's politicians in other countries, they'll take it to the flow. We done seen, little clips of people in other countries and, their bodies of government, their officials. We done seen them, they done got down on the floor with it. Okay? Somebody talking a little too much crazy to the other person, even though it's a politician, boom, 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 they throwing the dukes. So don't tell me there won't nobody take a little jab at America and say y'all wouldn't be the country y'all was if it wasn't for them niggas, just because they know they gonna hate it. It makes sense to me because I know I'd do it. I'd do it. You know, yo, men aren't generally petty, but sometimes we are. I would definitely take a little pettiness and take a jab. If I'm representing one of them other countries, makes sense to me. So now the thing is, y'all, black men have progressed since we've come out of slavery, right? We've done a lot of different things. We've had arguments about separate but equal. You know, we seem to be doing just fine when we separate. And that's something black folks really need to really get a true assessment of. We seem to do fine when we separate. Now I understand we all supposed to be together. And, I know Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. had a dream. He did. He had a dream. Okay. I'm not going to say it was a bad dream. All right. But we'll get judged for the content of our characters. But that ain't happening today. That is not happening today with most folks. The content of our character is not the real issue. All right. No matter how great black men are, America see us as niggas. So my thing is that's a cool dream. I'm not saying anybody should give up on a fight to achieve that dream. My thing is, let's be real. We ain't at that dream yet. Okay. Okay. We ain't at that dream yet. It's just not there. Okay. Shout out to Kevin 3905. He say, I'm here strictly for the comic relief. Okay. Well, yeah, sometimes I'm a little funny. I don't even be trying to be. Sometimes I don't even be trying to be funny sometimes. I just be trying to, do a good job, y'all. But I ain't gonna lie, I use that certain picture of Morgan Freeman right there. Cause that's how niggas should feel about America's promises, okay? That's how niggas should feel about America's promises. All right. Here we go again. All right. The big sigh. Cause I don't believe nothing what y'all talking about. That's how I look at America. I don't believe nothing about what y'all talking about. Okay. Now, to disturb black men in our progress, a lot has been concentrated on to make sure he is not handling his family, y'all. And this is a huge thing. And of course, I'm not going to stop harping on this thing until it changes the way it needs to change. Okay. Because it's got to change. Okay. Why do they want to separate the black family so much? Okay, because they can't stand niggas being in charge. Because when niggas are in charge, black men seem to do all right. Okay, now I'm just telling you what I know. All right, you know what you know. I'm just telling you what I know. All right, one of the major issues of separation. Okay, one of the major issues of separation was the fact that we started doing too good. That's what the issue was. Them niggas seem to be doing okay without the white man in charge. Okay, the niggas seem to be able to get their milk without the white man delivering it. Them niggas seem to be able to go to the hospital without the white man telling them what to do. Niggas seem to be able to provide for themselves. Now, let me give a quick shout out here, y'all. Now, I really do apologize about this one, y'all. I really do apologize about this one. Okay? Because my man, Kevin 3905 sent me a Cash App yesterday, which I didn't say it on air. And I was looking for the Cash App. I seen the Cash App and I didn't say it on air. And and we was talking about these chicks yesterday, and he said something about it. So I really do apologize that I didn't say it on, because I was looking for it, but I didn't see it until I was off the air. And he sent me a $20 Cash App, y'all. Said for these lining these strong educated queens, right? Lying in these strong educated queens. And I'm sorry I didn't say that, man. I do apologize big time about that. I apologize big time about that. Because I was looking for it. I don't know why it didn't pop up, but I definitely was looking for it. Okay. But I do appreciate it. Okay, I do appreciate it. Now, while we was off air, I got another Cash App while we was off air. And I don't know what your name is on YouTube, if it's on YouTube. So I'm just gonna say Derek W. Okay, I'm just gonna say Derek W. Got your $5 Cash App. Thank you very much, my brother. And I appreciate seeing that when I did, y'all. Okay, it was hours later, but he got it in, y'all. And I want y'all to know the Cash App over here at the Roger Report Live, it never closes. So if I'm not on air and you want to send something, cool, no problem. I'm gonna thank you on the next day. And you know what? I'm gonna say appreciate it, because y'all just helped me get off to a good start today. That's all that means to me. You helped me get to a good start today, and I definitely appreciate it. Okay, I definitely appreciate it. And shout out to my main man Trail Bentley, who hooked me up today. $5 with the 57-cent Trail Bentley tax. So shout out to you, Trail, and shout out to the 57-cent Trail Bentley tax. Appreciate it, my brother. He says civil rights has become a is this Pyrrhic victory? I'm not familiar with that term. I'm not familiar with that term. And I appreciate y'all. Y'all be making me jump into the dictionary and whatnot. Civil rights has become a Pyrrhic victory. Now, did you misspell something, or is this just another new word I need to learn? And I don't mind learning. Okay, gotta learn something every day, y'all. Okay, because I got this as PYRRHIC. Is this another word I don't know? Okay, it came out now, y'all. Maybe something flipped real quick. Okay, it's a new word. Okay, shout out to Trail Bentley giving me the new word. I appreciate it, brother. I appreciate it. Y'all never know. The new words will help you out in different conversations here and there. I actually be learning some stuff. Okay, so it's pronounced a Pyrrhic. It's pronounced Pyrrhic. Shout out to ThermoCat 2020. He says it's pronounced Pyrrhic, and Kevin 3905 said it too. Shout out to y'all, brothers. I appreciate it. Appreciate y'all. Hey, never be embarrassed to learn, y'all. Never be embarrassed to learn. I think that well, you know what? That has become a major issue because of the influence of white people. White people started telling us that black people ain't supposed to learn nothing. Okay, it's not cool to know stuff. Dumbest stuff I ever heard, y'all. my assessment is you cannot be cool and dumb at the same time. That's just that don't work for me. The cool people learn stuff. You can't be cool and dumb at the same time. That just don't work out. Just is what it is. But when it comes to education, that is why white folks have concentrated. We got to work with these women, y'all. We got to work with these women because these black men seem to do well no matter what situation we put them in. And y'all got to think about it. As a country, you're gonna feel somewhat defeated. And it turns into a very personal issue. And I think that's why other groups of people can come and surpass white folks and they don't really say nothing. I'm not going to say they don't see other folks as a threat. I'm not going to say that. I think they're so bothered by black men that they don't jump on other people the way they could because they rather focus on black men. I think white men collectively in America, and the powers that they represent, it's like that chick that you told, you was messing with this chick and you told her you don't want to see her no more. She crazy. Look, I ain't saying you ain't beautiful and all. You know what I'm saying? But man, you crazy. I don't want to mess with you no more. Okay? It was cool. We had a good time, but you crazy. I can't mess with you. So you just tell her straight up. So she feels rejected. She feels dismayed. She don't know what she gonna do. So what does she do? Because she crazy, she starts focusing on you. She wants to stalk you. She want to make sure she scalp any new girlfriend you got. She a loon. And you do the best you can to get her out of your life. Look, can you just go on somewhere? Can you leave me alone? But no. She just won't go. I think that's how white America looks at black men. Shout out to superstar Jay Quick. I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate that. He says, a Pyrrhic victory, a very costly one. Well, man, well said. And that's definitely fitting. So shout out to you, superstar Jay Quick. Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much. See, I got the greatest chat ever, y'all. I got the greatest chat ever. I appreciate y'all. Real talk. Greatest chat ever. Appreciate you, my brother. Appreciate you. So I think that's what goes on in the head of white folks. It's like that chick. She met you as a man, okay? She acted right enough, and I'm not saying that's how America did us. I'm saying the way this after thing that's going on. It's like, okay, we met a woman, we gave her that thing, y'all. We gave her that thing, best she ever had, okay? But you're paying attention to her personality, okay? And you see she vile. She's just a nasty one, I'm not saying nasty in bed. You just see the character of her is just poor, and you accept a couple of excuses here and there. Well, I didn't mean to be that way. And, I didn't mean to do that. You take out in the streets. She at the restaurant, she being super mean to the waiter. You go down to the car shop, she yelling at the mechanic for what she done messed up. And you just say, she off. She crazy. I can't really take her no further, man. You know what? I'm sorry, but we got to break up. We got to break up. I don't really want to be with you. And y'all know how women can get. Oh, well, you gonna reject me? Who is you to reject me? Okay? You need me, nigga. You need me. Well, I think that's the idea that white men have in their head about black men. Y'all need us. Because y'all ever knows they don't want us to really separate. They don't really want us to separate from them. They always want to, be around. Have y'all noticed that? Now, back in the day, y'all, when I grew up, I used to hear about it, about the white flight. And it's like I don't know, somewhere it's like they may not want to be right next door to us, but they need us in a close enough in the vicinity so they can take advantage of us. They don't want to just truly let us go. Because as black men, what I do not see is black men trying to be around them. I'm gonna keep that real, y'all. I don't see us trying to be around them like that. We tolerate them. We got to do certain things, We got to go to work. We got to get money. We tolerate them, but we don't be trying to kick it with them like that. They sure like to be in our Kool-Aid, though. You know, they sure like to be in our Kool-Aid. Real talk, y'all. They sure like to be in our Kool-Aid. You know, I bet money before I got the first 20 subscribers on this channel, it's probably at least one white man who ain't never said nothing publicly on this channel. He probably ain't never said nothing in the chat. Ain't never came on the panel. Ain't never sent a super chat or nothing. But I bet out my first 20 subscribers, it was at least one white man who was here so he can report back on what's going on. It's like they don't actually want us to be gone. They say they want us to be gone, but they don't actually want us to be gone. Because when we separate ourselves from them, you know, they always come around and peek their head in, you know. Now, shout out to the few white women I got on this channel. And I know that may be some foreign information to y'all, but I don't really think it is. But it's like anytime black men get together, no matter what you're doing, you know, white folks want to start peering their head in. It's them white men. I'm not even saying it's the white women. Now, the white women may be assigned to do it if they follow in white supremacy. That can possibly happen as well. But you get too many black men together, the white men got to peek their head in. They got to know what them niggas is talking about. Okay, they got to know. So now, realistically, y'all, do black men have anything change to help them? Because white folks are trying to help us from a general standpoint. Okay? I can't say that that's true. It seems to me that for us to do better, we make that happen. Okay? We have to do something to create a better situation for ourselves. Because that white man just ain't going, he's not going to let go of the fact that, you know, it's stuck in a reputation at this point, y'all. We quote unquote have the greatest country on earth. You know, because people say that about America. Let's keep it real, y'all. People say that about America. You know, and I'm talking about white folks here. They say this is the greatest country on earth. All right? Okay? They say this is the greatest country on earth. So shout out to Sarah B. I know you ain't one of them, Sarah. You know, I have it in my heart that you ain't one of them. She say, laugh out loud. I am not a covert op. I don't think you are, Sarah. I ain't got that feeling about you yet. Okay. I ain't never get that feeling about you. I think you fine. You know, shout out to Maggie as well. I think she's fine. I don't think there's no problem there at all. Okay. I really don't believe that. Okay. But I think that there's, because of history, it may never change. It may never change. But when you've had a country that was designed for you to be on top, we done enslave these niggas. Okay, enslave niggas to make sure we stay on top. We couldn't actually keep the niggas enslaved because we couldn't get ourselves together to keep the niggas enslaved. Then the niggas got free. And then after the niggas got free, the niggas start outperforming us in all kinds of ways. That's got to be very insulting to white America. You know, so they want to hide some facts. So now when you think about these different things, you might be able to understand why they're changing things in educational books. You know, like books in Texas where they're not mentioning slavery as if it never existed. That might be why some of this stuff is going on. It's embarrassing. You know, it's embarrassing. We may not have thought about it in those terms, but it's embarrassing to have been white folks trying to control quote unquote niggas in this country for all these hundreds of years, and things are still the way that they are. This is a very embarrassing thing because they just ain't broke black men yet. And I think they might have figured out it may be something they never gonna actually be able to do. So we're gonna have to change those strategies. We can't seem to break these niggas. But you got to break these niggas because of all the history. And you want to make sure that the world see you as a power that can break these niggas. You know, and you got other people from other countries saying, well, see, y'all ain't break them niggas though. Because you're going to take jabs at folks. But my main man, A.L. Evans, done came up. So let me let him get the mic. A.L., do your thing, my brother. How you doing?
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, it took you long enough. I only came up here because, brother man, you have to in the mirror by yourself on them
Mm-hmm.
long, lonely single king nights, because you know you have the ability to do that. I need you to work on your laugh. Your laugh is hideous, sir. I just, this is just constructive criticism I'm giving you,
Oh,
bro.
snap.
Bro, 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 bro. You too young to be having to laugh like an old goddamn ass man. Man, it don't make no damn sense. And it's a cross between a poor man's Eddie Murphy laugh. It's not. Look, it's not cute, sir. It's really not. And how these women like to say, your laugh is sassy, sir. Your laugh is sassy. She can't do it. But nonetheless, I'm gonna get off of it, and we're gonna talk about this problem that.
I see what I can do, brother. I see what I can do. Okay.
But I know you're not. It's okay. I know you're not. In your mind, you got the funniest laugh in the world. In your mind, 'cause you're like, oh man, I'm killing it. No, you're not. Really not. But anyway, cut it out, brother. Cut it out. All right. Don't nobody want to hear that shit. But anyway, man, you right. I've been listening, and I even done my thing. I went before you came on. This you were coming on. I said, look, let me go watch these videos, and I'm gonna watch them all the way through, and I'm gonna pay attention, and I'm gonna listen to comprehend. And I did. It's a damn travesty. You right. The games that this corporation has been playing on society over here on this road is ridiculous. They don't fuck with excuse me, they don't mess with the Chinese. They don't mess with the Koreans. They don't mess with the American Native Indians. Hell, they give them casinos, land, and still trying to repay them because they think some type of way. You know, I'm replacing that other word with think. They think some type of way about them because in their mind, the way they done wrote history, they actually believe they done wrong by them. So they want to, they want to pay back their pound of flesh, that they done wrong by the enemy. But when it comes to us, dear sir, when it comes to us, oh, how they catch amnesia. Oh, how they love to forget. If it wasn't for this man over here fighting his way all the way up into freedom and fighting his way again for his civil rights, which don't mean a hill of beans. I mean, we something he can't get rid of. And when you were saying that, I thought about saying, man, I hate that I have to equate us to this, but this is about the only thing that I know that has outlived damn near everybody. We try as we may to get rid of them, we can't. Try as we may to put them down and talk ill of them. This is one insect that has survived over and over and over. And I guess the good Lord don't want this critter to be forsaken. I equate us to the cockroach. The cockroach has been put through so much bull crap by society and Homo sapiens themselves that at this point, as everything's going topsy turvy and people fail to realize history always repeats itself, we just keep surviving through it all. Man, they done shot raid at the roach. They done shot bullets at the black man. They done lynched the black man. They done hung the black man. They done killed the black man. But still, I mean, e- so much nastiness of unspoken things they've done to us at this point. I literally equate us to the cockroach. The cockroach has been done just as bad, just as worse, but he still survives. His lineage still survives. You cannot get rid of a cockroach. Therefore, you cannot get rid of a black man. That's a problem they have to deal with. That's not an us problem. That's a them problem. But I digress.
Mm, interesting, but well said. Well said. Okay, we got H Rebels in the building. You got the flow, my brother.
Yeah, good morning to you, Roger. Shout out to AL, all the folks that are listening. Yeah,
Good
so
morning.
you guys doing all right? This is actually a pretty interesting topic because uh, what you really need, the people who really need to hear this, I think are going to be okay. I'm sorry, the people who probably going to have this discussion today, we're good, right? We understand what the issues and problems are, and all these documentaries, the discussion about it, and everything else. The people who really need to hear this, they're not going to want to hear it though. That's the problem. And I looked at those documentaries. I noticed Thomas Sowell was there. Uh, and the only one I would have added was there's a documentary. It's something about welfare. It's got Milton Friedman, Thomas Sowell, and it talks about welfare. And I want to say it was done in either in the 1980s, and there's another one earlier in 1973 that talks about this. But at the root of all of this, that system was designed initially to help white people, which is what it did. And then when black people were allowed into that system, then it was restructured to make sure that it actually harmed black families. That was the whole point, and it worked, and it worked very well. And the only issue is that when they talk about these documentaries, and even the one that you included, the longer one, I think it was about 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
They framed it in a way about personal responsibility, but not really talking about it that women made a decision not to include the fathers. You see what I'm saying? They were very vague about it, and they did that intentionally because they don't want to actually. It's like whenever we talk about this, we don't want to upset women, black women specifically. That's the only problem I have with this, because at some point you're gonna have to, and if you're never gonna do that, and all you're gonna do is just say, well, fathers left the home, or fathers, didn't interact with their children, or fathers just took off. Now you're just blaming a bunch of guys that uh, that you can't put any real responsibility or accountability to, and you're not holding the women to any account at all. And that's the issue I have with that documentary. I've actually seen it before, and then the other thing too is with this discussion, because at the end of the day, if something is offered to you and it's bad, and you accept it anyway, what you're saying is that I accept this program. I know the outcomes and the consequences, but I'm going to accept it anyway. And the only people who can make that choice are the women. That's the only people who can make that choice. They even went on to say that the more children that the women produced, it was more difficult for them to find work. Well, why would you continue to produce more children and make it more difficult for you to find work? All right. And then they also didn't include the fact that the majority of these kids were produced by a smaller number of men. So there's a whole lot of stuff that's missing in this discussion. And the people that really need to be here and actually, get to the root of the problem are probably going to they're going to get upset about it. They're going to deny it, and they're just going to, kind of obfuscate the entire topic. But anyway, I'll go ahead and stop right there and let you respond.
Okay. Well, actually, I'm not going to respond yet because I do appreciate what you're saying, but we actually got one more guest who done came up. We got Kevin 3905 is in the building, so I'm going to go ahead and give him the mic. And actually, we got no placeholder coming up behind as well, so I'm going to let you guys get in. Kevin, you have the flow.
What's up, fellas? What's up? I'm gonna recall the movie Ben Hur. I'm dating myself a little bit, where the gladiators attacked the Roman Empire and just raised hell for a while. I think black men need to realize we're the gladiators. When we were slaves, they bred the best of us. They bred the strongest of us. They bred the brightest of us. And when we come together and work together, we can accomplish so many things. If you look at the Jewish community, they're only 2% of the population, but look how much political power they have. We need to realize that we're the gladiators here in this country. And all we got to do is work together band together when it comes to everything. We need to create our own policies as black men. And I think the Roger Report Live here should be the policymaker. There's a lot of things that he talks to us about and teaches us about where we just need to make policies as a community of people that will push our community forward. We don't need to wait for laws to change. We just need to ostracize those that are not doing right by our community and go forward with the ones that are. And that's all I got for you, fellas.
Well, I'm in agreement, and I appreciate it big time.
Well
I thank you,
spoken.
brother. Okay. Now we got no placeholder. He has the mic. You got it, brother.
Hello, Roger. How's the quality of my sound? Is it good?
Now you good. You're good.
All right. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about the situation, considering that I'm not a Black American. But I did want to basically
You close enough for the day. You close enough.
But I do want to make the point of saying that BGS mentioned something in his discussion about a Moynihan scissors, and but that was what he showed in that Moynihan report. But in one of your documentaries or your program that you presented, Roger, I think it was the first one, someone actually listed some stat that correlated with that. The person said that in 1974, 1970, what he said in 71, I forgot the year it was. He said it was the lowest unemployment in New York, less than 4%. Yet in that same year, 4 million Black people went on welfare. You said lowest, 4 million. So I just wanted to add to that, to the BGS report, the other people correlating this point. And even when unemployment was very low, New York City, where immigrants get jobs or wherever it is, it's saying 4 million. It's saying like that's all I have to say, Roger. That's a crazy number. And even today, right now, 4 million is 10% of the Black population. That's a big number, dude.
Absolutely.
The lowest unemployment. Yeah, like people are getting jobs. Why would you be a government assistant? Everybody else is getting jobs. So, but anyway.
Okay. Now we got my main man Gold Pete done stepped up. You got the mic, my bro. Wait a minute. Did we lose him? Hold on, y'all. Hold on. That must be him coming back up now.
Yeah,
Okay. There we go.
He went.
All right. You got it, Gold P. How you doing, brother?
Oh, okay. Hey, what's happening? Peace to everybody. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can fine now.
Okay. I just came up to talk stuff to one specific person. I came up to pull my belt off on one specific person. Now, if you don't know who you are, why you laughing? Why you laughing, sir?
I ain't saying nothing. The elders are ganging up on me, y'all. They ganging up on me.
You already know off top, sir. You know, I didn't. I send you message in the chat. I just shot you, a cash app. I'm okay. I come up to just pull my belt off to correct the situation. That you understand what I'm talking about, Roger, sir?
Hello, he's talking to you, sir.
Yeah, he know I'm talking.
I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did.
You always play dumb. You always play dumb. That's what your kids do.
No,
They play dumb when they're in trouble. They play dumb. That's what happens.
What you do, Roger?
Yeah.
I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did.
It's
I'm rolling
always something.
through
It's
the
always
comments right
something.
now to see if I missed something. I don't know what I did.
Yeah. I see. It's okay. I'm gonna tell you, Roger. For mine, now it is hard for me to be petty. I just pull my belt off and start whooping ass. I don't use that word a lot. I use it sparingly. When I have to put emphasis on the situation. I'm just saying. Now, I come in and support the channel. I do everything. I've been part of the team since the beginning, and yet, I can't put what I need to put in the chat. Now, why is that, Roger?
Oh no, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's not me, man. That's not
Is
me.
it the Roger Report live?
Nah,
Stop
nah, nah.
obfuscating, Roger. Stop
No, no,
obfuscating.
no,
Take
no, no,
time to
no.
say
He's saying what he can't put in the chat. That is not me.
No, 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 no,
That's
no.
the system.
Is it the Roger Report live, sir?
Yeah, this is the Roger for Live, isn't it?
All right, then. Get it? See, that's what I'm talking about. Just playing dumb. It is your channel.
I will go to see if I can make some adjustments.
You need
I
to
need to change the
get it right,
settings.
man. Why I
I
gotta
need to
come up
change the
here
settings.
and pull my belt off on you all the time? My kids just can't get it right. Just can't get it
I will
right.
see about changing the settings, but yeah, I didn't block anything. I didn't
No,
block
it's
anything.
not that it's blocked, sir. Look, Roger. I'm saying it without saying it, but apparently I have to say it because my kids don't
You gotta give him a
really
wrench, yo.
understand until I say it.
get him, Uncle Otis.
I
Get him.
got you, brother.
I'm
I got you.
saying, my tool
Yeah,
belt
I,
isn't
I,
loaded up,
I,
brother.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. I got you. Okay. All
I
right.
come to support and work the channel out.
N-
You hit my line off top when you lost the other channel, brother.
Look, man. Look. I got you,
No,
brother. Matter of
you
fact,
look.
I
No,
got
you
you.
look.
I got you.
You look.
I'm about to do it now,
You
brother.
no, you look. You
I'm
don't
doing
tell
it now,
me,
man.
sir. You don't tell me. I tell
I'm
you.
doing it now. I'm doing it now, man. Real talk. I'm doing it now.
All
I got
right,
you,
all
brother. I
right. I
got
don't
you.
want
I
to have
got
to. Why? You must like catching this belt off situation.
you.
Get him, Uncle Otis. Get him. I told him
I'm
last week.
saying.
I told him last week. I already know what y'all talking about without y'all
hey,
even saying.
hey, I got you too. I got you too.
What?
Because you
Why
play
we
too
got to
much.
come up?
You
Yeah.
play
Why
too much.
we got to
You
come up
better
here
warn you.
and correct the situation?
Thank you. I appreciate you, Uncle Otis.
You welcome, sir.
Yeah.
These daggone kids. I don't know. I
They
don't
gonna make
know.
the Otis come out of Negro. See,
Yeah.
pull out
Very,
that
very
belt,
ungrateful
Uncle
children.
Otis on your ass. See,
And
that
I just grabbed the device. I got. You know what? I ain't gonna be able to back this one up enough. Do me a
Just
favor.
do
Just make
what
a
you need to
comment.
do.
Just
Just do
make a
what you
comment.
need to
Just
do. Don't give me no excuses.
just make another comment. I got you. Make another
Just
comment. I
just
got
do
you, bro.
what you need to do.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
what
I'm
don't
with
have me
you.
come up here and say something no more. Not on this term. Now I started to be private with, but now I gotta be public. So everybody hear what I had to say.
Brother, it's all good. Just make a comment. Just make a
Yes,
comment in
sir.
the chat, and I
You
got
you you hear what I said?
you.
Yes,
Same to
sir.
you, AL.
Yes, sir.
Same to you. Make a comment. I
Yes,
got
sir.
you, man.
Yes, sir.
I got you.
You hear how I do that, son? Yes, sir. That's all I want to know. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's,
Yeah,
that's all I want to
I'm
hear.
on it. Yeah, I'm on it. I'm on it.
No, no,
Yes,
no,
sir.
no, no,
Yes,
no,
sir.
no, no.
Yes,
There you
sir.
go.
I hear
There
you.
you
Yes,
go.
sir.
Roger is you are growing, boy. You're growing.
Y'all know people support you too much. You got to put up with their stuff. You can't. You can't just diss them. Even though hey, I gotta let them win right now. I gotta let them win. The support too strong, so I got to let them win, y'all. I got
That
to.
go
You
right.
know.
Now, I want to say two more things. One thing is, I said all this in my AL voice, so you know it's serious. The next thing, the next and last thing. Look, back to the main subject. Because you took me out of character, sir. But the
I
main subject.
apologize that I did that, sir. I apologize to you that I took you out of character. I apologize.
Got me up here using those colorful words. But what I want to say is that, when it comes to brothers and so-called United States, the best motivational speech you can ever have an example of is a brother. And I'm gonna leave it at that. Now, y'all work that out. I just said the best motivational speech, the best source of motivation is a brother, all day, every day, without question. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. Okay. Now I definitely
I agree.
yeah, I
I agree.
definitely agree with that one. That's for sure. That's for sure. Hey, but make a comment in the chat so I can handle that business for you.
Yes, sir. You hear how I say that? Yes, sir.
Oh, we lost Roger.
Oh,
He's gonna
Roger
come right back.
got booted.
Yeah,
Roger
he's trying.
dropped. But
He's trying to use another device.
yeah, I gotta bounce out too. So I'll be in the chat. Hey, you brothers, keep doing what you do. Hey, we're gonna stand on people's neck and keep it pushing, man. Uh,
Yeah. And to
yeah.
the point Rebel made earlier, no, we do need to do that, brother. We need to stand on their necks, these females, and make them speak this unspoken truth they've been keeping to themselves for 60 years. And then with the whole fact of the matter is they just straight up obfuscating the whole situation. They're not trying to take any form of accountability whatsoever. And that's why we're in the pickle we in. Because as long as she got old Uncle Sam, aka Zaddy, to lean on, shit, she gonna keep leaning on and leaning on it. But
Yup.
he's tired. He done woke up and said, no more, no more. And that ain't in the picture. But I digress.
All right, so I knocked myself out by mistake. I knocked myself out. Now that relationship that black women have with white men, yeah, that we got to definitely start seeing that as that's their own thing, and the white man is gonna have to use them to go with us because they ain't been able to find a way to break us, you know. And they are so focused on us because when, like I say, these other folks come over here and outperform them, they don't see the trip, you know. I ain't never really seen them have smoke for nobody else. I mean,
You actually,
Roger.
you
To add
absolutely
to that
right.
point, you know that it's illegal for immigrants to get a government assistance.
that makes sense to me.
So even as a woman, if you come here, you can't leave your one. You can't even leave your husband because if you leave your husband, you're not gonna get government assistance. So,
Did you say it was
like you
illegal
said,
or easy? Did you say it
it's
was illegal
illegal.
or did you say it was? No,
You,
it
you
isn't.
you can't get government. You can't get government assistance as an immigrant. When you come,
Okay, okay, yeah.
you have to prove to the government that you can live on your own, married. That's why they require you to prove that you have enough income to get the right to come to the country, because
Well,
they don't want you to come to America and live off the government.
well, that's not what's happening. Just so remember all those migrants that came in just a
H
couple of
Revel,
years
H
ago.
Revel, please do not conflate illegal immigration with legal immigration. Please don't do that.
Okay, so
A lot of people been
because
doing it. A lot of people have been doing that. Legal immigrants are not allowed to collect Social Security, Medicare, or any of those programs, because you're not allowed to do that, because when you came to the country, you signed an affidavit saying that you would not take government assistance. I'm not talking about
okay,
Mexicans coming across the border. I'm talking about legal people that actually pay to come to America. H
well, they
Revel.
just brought in a bunch of South Africans, and
Yeah,
they just gave them a bunch of welfare. That's welfare.
I'm not, yeah,
no. But
okay, but
but
what I'm trying,
but yeah, he said don't confuse legal with illegal.
Well, I
And,
mean,
that's what I'm trying to
those
say.
South African immigrants are very
Mm,
legal, and they're receiving welfare.
mm.
but
They're getting a startup in
well,
order.
no,
They're getting
but
But
he's
that's
not
the thing.
addressing
That's the
illegals.
case,
He's
H
Yeah,
addressing
Rebels. Hold on,
legals.
hold on. If that's the case, H Rebels, you, me, Roger, and 7 others, that's all we need. We can file a class action lawsuit against the government for allowing that to happen. And we
they
will
did this.
get
thank
that
you.
assist, or we will get our compensation, our pound of flesh, our reparations out of it. We can do that. It's
So
all forms of regress of grievances that we can take.
yeah,
Courses of
well,
regress.
so we really shouldn't have to do that. It's supposed to be black politicians doing it on our behalf, but they're not going to do it. And
Uh,
the idea that private citizens have to file a lawsuit against the United States government, that's another problem in itself. The whole point is to make sure you don't have the resources and the time or even the energy to actually do that. That's the whole point, to make sure you can't do it.
I know,
But
and I'm
but yeah,
going to provide a little bit of detail. Sorry. The type of visa you get is basically, when I say immigration is a broad category, America has multiple types of visa. So based on the type of visa someone might get from Africa or South Africa, they may get a refugee status or something else. They don't fall in the same as someone who's getting like a regular alien visa, like someone who has to prove they have merit to come to America. These people are coming through because of, like, for example, they have different type of visa they use. I'm saying if you come into whatever, I'm saying your country's being burned or whatever it is, or you're being persecuted, whatever, that doesn't apply. Okay? I'm saying so.
Okay, so
And the government,
I don't want to go into this too much. I don't want to go into this too much because that's not really the topic. But the bottom line is that Afghan migrants came over, South African immigrants came over. They got a settlement package.
Yes, and I'm saying they have different visa structures for your government. Stop being Kevin. You're a well-educated man. Your government has different visa structure. Blame them for having it.
It's
Stop
still welfare.
And saying stuff like
it's still welfare. It's still taxpayer
money. Dude, is they the one that created that, bro? It's their fucking money.
It's not their money.
It's their country. It's their laws. It's their borders. They created it.
Yeah, but that's my whole point. So I'm just illegals and legal immigrants are getting welfare. All of them. It's there for all of them, and that's what's happening. But at any rate, that's the whole point is this welfare as it relates to the black family and what it did to actually destroy the family, right? And understand, this is not by accident. It was that system was restructured by design. You know, I don't really like Republicans, right? Because a lot of them are fake conservatives. They don't, all the stuff that they preach about the ideology of less government, family, traditional values, and, you know, and patriotism. They really don't believe in all of that stuff. They say it, but they don't believe it, right? But even Republicans, you know, are right periodically. And they are right about the fact that the Great Society programs that was implemented by Lyndon Johnson in the 1960s was actually structured or restructured in a way to encourage women, black women specifically, to produce children without husbands and to make more kids and to actually break up the black family. And then frame it in a way that points to, well, these people are just irresponsible. These men are irresponsible. They're deadbeats. And it's not us. It's not the programs. It's not what we're doing. It's what they're doing. It's them. It's the black people. It's these Negroes, these awful Negroes. They're the problem. That's how that and that's been the case for since what for decades now. And black men can't get away from this because even though it's false, everybody, and I mean everybody in U.S. society, truly believes this. It's so bad that you could actually be married and people will still call you a deadbeat, taking care of your kids. And even when there's studies that come out that says black men are the best fathers and the most involved out of all the active fathers from all the races, it's still, nah, you guys are deadbeats. People truly believe this. Like the propaganda is that ingrained and it's done so well that they can't even get past their own bias, even when presented with facts to the contrary.
65 plus years. 65 plus years. And this is, they have ingrained it into society for them to think that way. Like this man just stated. You can be the most upstanding, taking care of your family, providing, bringing home resources, and making sure your children get their education, and yet and still, they go consider you, sir, that upstanding individual, a deadbeat, the rest of society, because they have ingrained it in society's head, psychologically. And to get up from up underneath that, that's a boulder I don't think no black man wants to deal with. But I digress.
Well, and it's not just that too. The whole point is to, if you can convince everybody else that a specific group, especially a specific group of men, are problematic and just a bunch of deadbeats, then whatever you do to them, you can easily justify. Look, coming out of the 1950s and 60s, black men and black people in general, but black men specifically, had the most moral capital out of any other group. It don't matter what you were doing, Hispanics, white, especially, you know, white people were demonized because of the racism. They're open, overt racism. So what they did, they implemented an information operations campaign, basically propaganda, to change the narrative. They came up with these programs, you know, as a way to incentivize, you know, women to produce children without husbands, and then not only that, then they also came up with ways to you know, deprive specific black areas of you know, basic resources that they funnel to all the other racial groups. People talk about Asians and how well they're doing. They get a lot of help. The second they show up, they get plenty of help, right? And there's laws in place, not even laws. I'll just say, well, yeah, there is not so much hard laws, but there's policies and programs in place to help them become this quote unquote model minority, and then they're used as a wedge to essentially, compare and contrast between Black Americans. Well, look how well the Asians are doing. They got their internment camps and they're still doing better than the Blacks. Look, so you can't compare one racial group to another when they don't have the same exact experience. What you got to do, you got to put the Asians through the exact same experience that you put Black men through. Do whatever you do to Black men, do exactly the same thing to the Asians and see how well they do. They're not going to come out. They're not going to come out.
But Kev, they're the puppet master. Why would they do things to benefit you? They're doing things to benefit themselves.
But that's my whole point. And even
what I'm trying to say, so what are you appealing to your puppet master to basically do a better job of being a puppet master? Is that what you're trying to do?
No, what I'm saying is that we as Black men are supposed to know this so that way we can counter it. And then when somebody has this conversation, we are supposed to change the narrative. Like, look, this is what's happening. This is what's going on. There are people making decisions. There's programs, policies, all this other stuff. And then there's women that are making a conscious decision to choose a program versus actually, building communities. The lie has got to stop.
Well, that's, people do have to understand that there's a level of white supremacy that's entrenched in this government, period. And if you grow up here in America, you are trained to be a white supremacist, because it's very subtle in some areas and it's very overt in other areas. But that's the training you get just growing up here. You can't not be a white supremacist just growing up here and actually in taking the information that people give you. So that's why I'm saying that Black men have to see it as a reality. Am I going to do well because of the government, or am I going to do well because of me? It's going to be you as a Black man, because the government ain't going to never be there to help you do better. That's just not what the American government is for. We can ask for the government to help us do better, but let's keep it real. When have we actually done better as a group of people? When have we ever got any real benefit as a group of people from the American government? You had to go fight in the Civil War. That's how you got it better. You had to help make the country exist. The country's about to go out of existence, and they basically would rather go out into existence than to have it where you're going to be an equal citizen. The country literally had to almost go out of existence for you to be even thought of as an equal citizen. That's how ingrained it is. Now, you can say, well, that was all those years ago. But is it much different now?
It isn't, and they want to keep it status quo, period, point blank. There will be no pro quo for the Black man in the Black community as far as the United States as a corporation has anything to do with it. But I digress.
If Black men are such deadbeats, are so incompetent, then you know what? We are entitled to, and we are supposed to get the most help. We get no help. So to your topic, Roger, no. There's no help from government. Black men are successful in spite of everything that's thrown against them. And nobody's going to help. They're never going to help. There's no expectation. It's so ingrained among Black men that even when we should ask for help, we don't even ask for it because we just have no expectation of assistance.
Yeah, it's almost like forming a sentence to tell a person that would matter. It's too much trouble to even meet the person it would matter to even tell that sentence to. It ain't even worth it at the end of the day, And shout out to Irvin Reed. He's because Irvin getting it, y'all. He said this is why Roger says if you ain't Black, you white, because that's the reality of the situation. Okay, if you ain't Black, you white. Because they not finna come after you because you doing well. You outperform white people and they just let you walk past. That's why I said our relationship to them is like they look at us as that, America looks at us like we the man that just told them no. And now they just can't stand it. I don't really want to be with you, but I got to prove that I can break you. And y'all know it's women that do stuff like that. I don't really want to be with you, but the ideal of you rejecting me is just so ridiculous. I can't stand for it. I can't stand for it. And let me say this real quick before he come back up. Go pee. Okay, look, I took care of AL. Okay, I got to take care of you after the show. All right, just because of how they let me do it, it's gonna be out once this show is over. Because I tried to hook you up, but once this show is over with, I should be able to hook you up because I'm peeping what's going on. Because I've been having problems on this new channel. So don't come back up to chew me out talking about he didn't do it. No, I gotta wait till after the show. Okay. And I'll be able to do it. I had to go to a different show to even hook up AL. Okay, so after the show, I got you, brother. Don't come back to chew me out. Okay, I got you
Uncle
after the
Otis,
show.
get him, Uncle Otis don't play. He ain't playing with you. He got the spread ready for you, boy. He ain't playing with you, Uncle Otis. Got something for you.
Well, I'm trying to tell Uncle Otis he ain't got to come back. I heard him, I got him, but I can't do it till after the show is over. I
Otis
want no
don't.
trouble, man. I want no trouble.
Otis don't. He gonna tan your eye. I promise.
All right. Now the thing is nobody else has to deal with the stuff that black men have to deal with. So truth be told, it's embarrassing to compare yourself with a group of men that you've been trying to break since slavery. It's hundreds of years later. And then when you start looking at numbers and whatnot, because and that's how they get their jollies off about themselves. Well, they make more money than us, and then people try to weaponize against us. And I was sitting there thinking, like, if y'all make about 10,000 more per average, ain't that kind of sad? If y'all only make 10,000 more per year as an average,
You
that's a
mean
very
them folks?
sad statement, if you ask me.
You talking about them folks versus us, correct?
Yeah,
Indeed.
because if you
That's very sad. I, I made 10,000 more better than you this year, so that makes me bet. Man, please, if you don't get the up out of here with that nonsense you discussing, but I digress.
well,
So
I'm just saying, if you had a better education system, you didn't go through slavery at all. You didn't go through Jim Crow at all. You had every advantage. You had better food. Let's keep it real. You know what I'm saying? You had better food to eat. Every time somebody worked the system out, you was able to implement a better system into your educational system first. Like you had first dibs at everything. And after
And they
slavery,
still
Jim
miss,
Crow, and all that, and the only thing you could muster was a $10,000 a year advantage. After
they
all that, that's all
still
you could
messing,
muster.
they still messing it up. Roger's correct. That's what I'm saying. The hypocrisy of him and his clan, just the hypocrisy.
What was you about to say? No placeholder.
yeah, I was gonna say that I agree with you. The gap is not that big, and and and, and I think part of the reason why the gap is not that big is when they were supposed to actually address the issue that you mentioned in the 1960s of actually giving black men the reparation through the implementation of the Civil Rights Act properly. Instead of doing that, they actually, like you mentioned, and we just mentioned about the women. That introduction of the women did basically lead to some disbursement of capital as well as resources. As well as job, and also putting them in the education system is a factor. So I agree that that if they wanted to make the gap bigger between black men and white men, they would have had to avoid giving the women so much in the system. But it would have also worked negatively because it would have been black men competing against white men. I'm saying, and them putting the women in between that is intended to actually prevent, I'm saying, that competition from really happening. So
Well,
I'm saying,
well, it's never been a
yeah,
competition. If everything you have and everything you own and everything you control is basically handed off to you, and you didn't have to work for it, you didn't compete. You didn't compete with anybody. You just took it. It
they
was
have
just
to
handed to
maintain,
you.
Kevin. They have to maintain it still, Kevin.
Yeah. Everything that other people have outside of the black population, um, it's been handed to them. People like to do this thing where they talk about
Subsidized.
meritocracy and they earned it themselves. No, they didn't.
Yeah,
They
they've
haven't
been
been earned anything since they showed up. They stole the land. They stole the labor. They got they gave themselves the Homestead Act. They gave themselves FHA loans. They gave themselves They created labor unions to lock everybody else out. They did so much stuff to get handouts. Even when black people earned the same benefits or actually suffered the same experiences they suffered through the Second World War, white men got the
Depression.
GI Bill and the black ones didn't. That
Yep,
was their entitlement. So
They
that was
basically
maintenance. That's how
guys.
they maintained it.
So what have they actually earned? And if the black men, and even in this documentary, I'm listening to this documentary. Do you know they mentioned the word reparations in that documentary, Roger? Did you hear that?
No,
Yeah,
no, no, did not.
They actually
They did mention
mentioned the word. They mentioned the
They
word
mentioned it
reparations.
once.
They tried to frame welfare as a form of reparations to
Yes,
black Americans.
they did.
And by the way, black men can't even get it. The only way you can even get it is if you are, you have children, all right, or if you are mentally incapacitated or physically disabled, right? And that's basically the government taking care of you because you can't take care of yourself. You have to be mentally incapacitated as a man, or you have to be extremely physically disabled, so much so that you can't take care of your own self. That's why then the state has to take care of you. But outside of that, men don't get it. Black men especially don't get it. Right? So who did it go to? So even when they were trying to frame it as reparations and they were talking about all this money going to the black community, it was just going to women. Again, so I'm criticizing them a bit, but when you listen to these documentaries, you have to kind of do a bit more of analysis and then find the lapses in logic when they're explaining these documentaries. Again, they framed it in a way not to put exclusive blame to women for making choices not to produce children with a husband.
Yeah, but it's also about them trying to protect themselves. And what I'm saying is from an overall perspective, y'all, this is how white people, quote unquote, help black men. They gave black men welfare. And the thing is, I was actually looking for something else to say where the government did something for black men. This was the best thing that I could come up with. Real talk, y'all, because they ain't gave us nothing. And that's the reality. But when you start putting all this stuff together, y'all, America is gonna have a huge problem with black men no matter what. They're focused on black men no matter what. If somebody else surpasses them, it's like, okay, well, that don't matter though. We still got to get on these niggas. It's just like a female who just won't let it go because you just don't want her. Look, man, I tried to be with you. You crazy. It came out. Your craziness came out. And I don't want to be with no crazy chick. So I'm trying to be peaceful about it and just walk away. And she just not gonna leave you alone. You know, she gonna show up at your house. She gonna, bust your car windows, slash your tires, and then tell the police you after her. That's what America is to us, y'all. America's like a jealous female.
All day, every day. And you right, Roger. And to that point, bro, I mean,
They create problems for you and then point to you as the source of the problem.
Yeah. And I'm gonna say real quick to Mr. Quake, he said, what about African guys? No, it's not about African guys. It'll be about y'all. My prediction, if they could actually get rid of FBA men, then what they do to us may be visited upon you, depending upon how y'all act. If they see y'all as good little boys, y'all will be fine. But if they see y'all as a next threat, then what they do to us is coming straight to y'all. Right now,
Roger,
you good.
And Roger, like I was saying, bro, the white man knows all else fails. He had industrialized and promoted the criminal justice system to strip you of your 14th Amendment with all else fails. He knows at the end of the day, he and his cronies have invested enough in public and private incarceration facilities to keep you no matter what. You will not leave this earth unscathed as a black man. They got something up their sleeve to slow you up down. Trust me, I know.
And let me do a correction. Mr. Quake said, but you said it. You're anti-American. No, Mr. Quake, you maybe you having an issue with translation, or maybe you have a language issue. I didn't say
Yeah.
anything about me being anti-American. I said America's anti-us. That's what I said.
Yes,
See,
You did.
anti-black man. Yeah.
yeah,
You did.
maybe you have a language issue. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Because you say you're not you're not FBA, so maybe you from somewhere else and you don't get what's being said. No, America is anti-black men. Point blank. Period.
Always been,
And you,
always will be.
yeah, and we can and we can pull out all types of stuff. And now, Mr. Quake says, I'm saying it from experience. No, you're not saying it from experience. Because if you've been listening to me, you have heard me continue to explain how America has been anti-black man. I have literally said, I love America because it's the only country I got. It may not be a great country, but it's my country. I've said that. So you ain't saying it from experience. You just don't listen well. Because
What you
maybe it's
have,
not a language barrier. Maybe it's just you not listening.
And
well, so
we're
you got to
gonna
remember, Roger, a lot of people do the same way they go,
need.
America. I mean, I think you said it in your statement, or somebody said it, that America is the greatest country in the world, right? You hear this over and over and over and over. I'm never going to say that. What I'm going to say is America is a great country. It's actually a really good country, but it could be so much better. They could be doing much greater things if they actually lived up to the ideals based on the Constitution, human rights, civil rights, and equity and equality. It has the potential to be a great country, but it's not, because they're not doing what because you have people in charge who are not doing what they're supposed to do, living up to the actual ideas and ideology that America is founded on, or that they claim America is founded on.
And I'm gonna say this real quick. Shout out to Landon. He says another immigrant who doesn't understand is hundreds of years of American white supremacy. See, Landon, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I tried to give him a break. See, I believe that people know what they're doing. Okay. I believe people know what they're doing. So either it's you don't understand because you misheard, or you think just because I say, and sometimes people have a childish view about stuff and they don't even realize they're being childish. If I say America is against me, that does not necessarily mean I'm against America.
Hello.
People think the opposite. It has to always be true. See, I can be your friend and you not be a friend to me. I can look out for you in every scenario that I'm around, and I'm your friend. But you may treat me absolutely terribly. You're not my friend. Me being your friend does not equal you being my friend. America being anti-me does not equal me being anti-America. You know, either somebody gets that or they don't get it. And if you don't get it, I just accept you don't want to get something. So, sometimes people just trying to start a mess. Sometimes people just, like I said, ain't paying attention, ain't listening. That's why I said something. No, you're just not listening. Because what does America being anti-me got to do with how I feel about America? You don't know. I can tell you all day long about America's anti-me. That does not say anything about what I feel toward America. I ain't got no point being anti-America. I'm American. Why would I be anti-America? I'm American.
This is our home, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but that don't mean I can't call out America for being anti-me.
Hello.
Just because I live here, don't give America no excuse. Now, I do accept things like this can happen in people's heads because I understand people come from other countries, and other countries you can't even say nothing about what you don't like about a country. You know what I'm saying? It's places that you'll go missing for, you saying something about a leader of the country or something like that, you'll go missing. You know, but it ain't like that here. I can tell the truth over here. Okay.
Yeah, so you could actually make the argument that Black Americans are more patriotic than a lot of other people. I mean, look at all the negative things that the United States has done. I'm saying we're talking about America. America has done to Black men specifically, but the overall Black population, but Black men especially. And Black men still have not made an effort to overthrow the government, or take out or conspire to do anything that's even close to treason. The only thing Black men have done is say, look, these are your ideologies, these are your principles. Live up to your principles, and we challenge you to do that every day. We challenge them every day to do that, and still they've not lived up to those principles. That's a group of people who are actually patriotic. That's a group of men who actually show how much they actually love the country, because we're forcing you to look at yourself, look at what you're doing wrong, and challenging you to live up to the ideals that you established, that you claim as the basis of the United States: equity, equality, human rights, civil rights, freedom, democracy, all of that stuff, patriotism. We're challenging you to do that, and you still haven't done it. But you can't claim you can't talk to us about patriotism. Can't nobody talk to black men about patriotism. You can't challenge us on that. Matter of fact, we're the only group of people that I see that's actually trying to challenge America to do the right thing on a regular basis. And then when we give you an appropriate response to mistreatment or injustice, then you want to call it violence, you want to call it militancy, or you want to call it aggression, or you want to call you want to come up with you want to call it extremism. No, mistreatment or any type of a response that you get to open mistreatment is appropriate and justified in order to counter that mistreatment. It's the same thing you would do if black men were doing that to you. We wouldn't even question it. You beating up on us, you beat us back, you beat us into submission, we'd be like, okay, you got it now.
What the thing is, people believe black people should only see things in a way where someone else has an advantage. And this is the thing. Now I'm gonna say shout out to SLN Fitness. Now I get what he's saying because it's about context. He said that doesn't make sense. If you love America and you black, you crazy. Now I totally get what you're saying, and I would agree with your sentiment. But I'm gonna say this, I'm an American citizen, right? I walk around this country. Okay, somebody bothers me, right? Okay, let's say I knock them out. Does that mean I don't love the country anymore because there's a citizen that bothered me? No, it don't stop me from loving the country. I love the country, but that don't mean I should knock you out because you created an issue. Point blank, period. You try to bother me. You have government agents that do something to me and I kill them and people want me to be sorry. No, I'm not sorry. If I killed them, I killed them because they was bothering me and they was doing something they had no business doing. Yeah, they may represent the government, but that don't mean I don't have to. That doesn't mean I have to be in a position where I don't love my country. I can love my country and eliminate threats that are in my country all at the same time. AL talked about roaches. Let's say you got a home. You love your home, but somebody throw a box of roaches in your home. You gonna get rid of your whole home just because somebody threw some roaches in there? Or you just gonna kill the roaches and keep it moving? See,
so people see black male resistance to mistreatment as a problem. Like I don't understand that. I don't know what's wrong with y'all. And the thing about it is everybody agrees that that's okay.
No, I don't think that's what it is, brother.
There's
I
something
think
to
what
that.
it is, when his statement, I don't to cut you off, but I understand what you're trying to, but I don't want you to go on that path because when he says anti-American, and he says and I think he said something else about based on a pattern. I think what he's saying is what the other person said was whatever Roger read a moment ago, where he's assuming that based on the history, if you listen all these negativities being done to you by the state itself, he would assume that you would be against it. So, but essentially, I'm saying that's what it is. It's not an indication that you can't fight back against the state for being the way it is towards you. It's just that it's interesting that you say you love the state, yet for generations going on, I'm saying the state has basically propagated government after government that basically are not in their best interest. That's basically what he was saying.
And I can agree that could very well be what it is. And that's why I'm saying sometimes we have kitty thoughts. Because I'm trying to say this without insulting them. But sometimes we have kitty thoughts. We think real childish stuff. If you love something, don't you work on that thing to make it better? Ain't that a natural thing for things you love? Let's say somebody give you a 1967 Ford Mustang. You love that Ford Mustang, but it's in terrible condition. Ain't your love what's going to motivate you to actually go wash it down, get it painted again, go buy some new parts, have them replaced? Ain't your love for that vehicle going to make you improve that vehicle? So the thing is, it's like a kitty thought to say, I can't try to improve my country and love it at the same time. That's like child's thinking. You know, and I'm not saying every adult don't do that from time to time. But at the end of the day, it's either child's thinking or it's just somebody trying to start some mess. I'm trying to give the brother benefit of the doubt that he ain't just over here trying to start some mess on white supremacy's behalf. That's what I'm doing. I'm giving him benefit of the doubt. Okay? Is either, you know, he just went into some child thinking. And people do that from time to time. Plenty of adults start thinking like a child from time to time. But stuff got to make sense at the beginning, middle, and the end. If you love something, you work to improve something on plenty of occasions. Just is what it is. You tell me if your kid is acting the way that you hate, you don't love your child no more. You get a daughter, she become a prostitute. You don't love her no more just because she a prostitute. That sounds crazy to me. You don't like nothing about how your daughter's operating, but you still love her because it's your daughter. And you try to do something to get her out of that world. You know, because that's your daughter. You ain't out there trying to get other prostitutes out that world. But if it's your daughter, no, I'm gonna try to get my daughter out of that. Now, that's how love works.
So to this topic, Roger, do black men do better because of the government or themselves? Okay, so
That was a good explanation, Roger.
well, so if black fathers not in the home is such a problem, what are the government doing to actually facilitate resolution of that issue? What are they doing? Because everything that I've seen that they've done has been in support of actually destroying those families, not repairing those families. I mean, that's literally what those programs do. Not only that, now you have documentaries and you have people, you have academics and intellectuals saying the exact same thing. And you know when, you know, at any policy that's or program that's implemented by the government at the state or the city or the federal level, they know what the outcomes are going to be. So why would you put in a program that's going to actually incentivize women not to have husbands and yet produce children to collect money from the government? They know what the outcomes are going to be of those programs.
I mean, it's their idea. That's my thing. That's always been their idea. It was the same idea that came off the plantation. And America has never given up on that idea that they don't want black men to raise their children. They didn't want it done on the plantation. They didn't want it done during Jim Crow. Ain't no reason for them to want it done now. Yeah. It's just, you know, people see it if they want to see it, and they don't see it or they resist it. Because when I put a light on stuff like this, and when you don't accept it, that's just you don't like it. You're rejecting it, and that's where your white supremacy shows up.
Well,
it just is what it is.
It's
That's
racism.
not
And then
a problem. That's a them problem. That's something they're gonna have to accept. All we do is give logical, rational, and factual commentary on what we see and what we know and what we've read and what we study and what we put pen to paper to, and we let people know. Not everybody's gonna drink the tea, gentlemen. Not everybody's gonna sip on the coffee.
Yeah.
That's cool. But our job is to get the information out there so you can at least, you won't be able to say at the end, you were not warned, you were not forewarned, you were not told.
yeah, it's not to me. It's not going to matter if anybody who's not black doesn't understand it. But if you're black, you need to understand and internalize and know the details of these programs and what they are intended to do. So you're not walking around blind and stupid and just going, well, these fathers, these black men, they're just no damn good. They just want to, they don't want to take care of their kids. Whenever I hear that, I know I'm listening to somebody who is completely ill-informed, and if they're not even informed, they don't want to have a serious discussion about what's actually going on. They either don't know or they don't want to know. They just want to be able to get the blame away from them. Whatever it is, they want to get the blame away from the government. They want to why you talk about the white man? Stop blaming the government. No, well then I actually had this conversation. I'm not going to say his name, but the guy who runs all over the country having this discussion talking about, like, he literally says it in some of his little videos that he puts out in his discussions. He's like, well, black women were incentivized to marry the government and leave their husbands. Okay, then I literally told that dude to his face, I said, well, just get rid of the program.
You talking about Charlie Kirk?
Yeah, I ain't want to say his name, but yeah. When I was talking to him, I said, "Well, if that's the issue, just get rid of the program." He kind of sat there stumped, looking stupid, like, "Well, because he didn't. What he didn't want to say is, well, white people need that program too, and white women do the exact same thing, and that program is designed to actually break up black families." He's sitting there complaining about it. Well, and I said, "Well, the simple solution is get rid of the program. If that's what you're saying, just get rid of it." Well, I'm like, "Well, so what's the problem?" And then he tried to maneuver into something else.
Well, I mean, my thing is, y'all have, if y'all been around and seen my other channels, y'all done heard me say plenty of times, just eliminate the whole welfare system. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? It's no skin off my back to eliminate a system that don't work. You know what I'm
Roger,
saying?
white people need the welfare system.
I don't
They
care.
need it. That's
I
why it's
don't
not
care.
going anywhere. And when it's implemented against black people, it's implemented in a way to actually break up and destroy those families.
Yeah.
While when for everybody else, it's given in a way to actually sustain them.
But as a black man, I can't be for a system that don't help my people. I can't. You know what I'm saying? And some white people have to take a loss to for my people to get help and get rid of that program. That's a unfortunate consequence that I'm willing to accept.
That's why
And
they're
if
not going to get rid of
that
it.
Yeah.
Because it hurts you, but it doesn't hurt them.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's implemented differently against them, towards them, and in support of their effort. Versus how
I get that. I'm not even arguing that point. But my thing is, it's a system that ain't helping us. I understand if we get rid of that system, it would hurt some people. But you know, sometimes you got to accept some consequences at the end of the day. There's gonna be some collateral damage sometime. It just is what it is. Now, I got a great plan to eliminate, but I'm not in charge. If I was in charge, I would just stop it where nobody could get on the system anymore, and I would just let the people on the system die off. You know what I'm saying? Every year we be spending less and less money on those programs because the people would just be dying off. That's what I would do, and everybody can do that. And there's people in government who could come up with that idea. They full-time government folks. I'm not. Okay, so I obviously have figured out they don't want to do it at the end of the day. But the whole point is they're going to be everything they do is going to be an anti-black man thing because they have a thing about black men. They don't have a thing about other people. They got to think about black. And when I'm saying black men, y'all, today I'm definitely specifically talking about FBA men. If you're not an FBA, you kind of gonna be okay. You kind of go unless they see you as a person who's gonna threaten them. And other groups of men will have to if they could actually get rid of FBA men, other groups of men will have to decide: are you gonna be a good little Negro, or you gonna be like them FBAs? Because if you like them FBAs, we taking you out too. Because y'all just the next people in line at the end of the day. Y'all the next folks in line.
23 million black men, Roger. That's going to be a difficult ask, man.
I'm not saying they're going to ever get rid of them. I'm not saying they're going to ever get rid of us. I'm just saying, realistically speaking, if they could get rid of us, then and y'all don't act right as a person who's not FBA per se, you know what I'm saying? Y'all would be targeted because they're not gonna want the remnants of a black threat. They're not gonna want that. You don't want to finally beat the FBAs and get rid of them, and then say we're gonna let another group of niggas do what we worked so hard to stop the FBAs from doing. We ain't gonna let another group of niggas do it.
So I don't think it works that way, Roger.
And it don't necessarily have to be black people. It could just be any other racial group. They're not going to let even if you got rid of all the black people, they're not going to allow another group to come in and take the place of actually threatening the government in any kind of way. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, because if they're going to replace you, can I make a quick point? If they're going to replace you as a threat, they wouldn't replace you with an equal threat because you get what I'm saying. If you're in a position to replace a threat, then you wouldn't replace it with something that's equal to threat. That's why, for example, that's why, you notice in the Middle East, each time they topple a government, there is no new government that comes out of it that's saying threatened. After Libya is still in shambles. Get what I'm saying? Iraq is still completely being controlled. Get what I'm saying? So it's like if you're in a position to get rid of someone, you don't replace them with someone that basically is equally as
exactly threatening. Exactly. So that's why I say it will be based on what the next group will do. Because I'm not gonna say they don't have the ability to be a threat. It's just, are they gonna even choose that lane? Some folks don't want to choose that lane. It just is what it is. Everybody not trying to choose the path of the most resistance. A lot of folks like the path of the least resistance. It's the most common way you go. So it'll depend on how people operate. But if someone else poses a threat and they black, of course they're gonna immediately put some pressure on them folks to break them up too. Because you ain't gonna win no fight against FBAs and then let somebody else do it immediately. That's just not gonna happen. Because there's a certain level of pride that people are gonna have. And I told y'all not too long ago, I was at someone's home and they was showing me they was showing me their great granddaddy's Confederate sword. I think it was a great granddaddy, but they were showing me his Confederate sword that he fought with in the war. Now, my thing is, that was a dumb thing to do. It was an older guy. I think he might have been a little tipsy or whatever case too. Because I'm sitting there thinking, like, as a black man, why would you show me that, bro? How you know I ain't gonna just kill you with that? And then just say you fell on it or something like that. That was just so completely stupid to do. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not that malicious of a person.
You decided to let him live. I'm so glad, because I know what your devious mind was telling you. I owe you for showing me this. I owe you. Glad you did.
Well, he wasn't doing nothing like he was trying to come off as racist. I don't think that was his goal at all, to come off as racist. But the thing is, I'm still proud of my heritage. That's just the attitude he had. I'm still proud of my heritage. His heritage happens to be racist people who fought for the Confederacy. But he's still proud of it. It is what it is. So, that's why I say a lot of things people ain't trying to really get rid of, because it's just who they are. There's a natural pride that comes with, I'm from this place, this is my family, this is what we did. So of course, if they got rid of FBA some kind of way, and they see any other group of black people as even thinking about trying to be a threat to them, they would immediately attack them. Because it's going to be a pride issue at that point. Because it's a pride issue with FBAs right now. People say, well, reparations, it shouldn't be that big a deal. Everybody's dead who owned a slave. Everybody who was a slave is already dead. But you don't want to give nothing back. So it's a pride issue. And then when white people took it as a threat to them giving up their own personal stuff, they didn't want to give it back because it's a natural greed. I don't want to give up nothing that's already mine. And then it was presented, no, we just want the money from the government. And what they say, no, screw them niggas. It ain't gonna even come out my own personal pocket, but I still don't want them niggas to get nothing. Now, why do you think random white people have an issue with the government giving black people reparations and it's not gonna come out their actual pocket? Where do you think that come from? They know their history. They know their people. Somebody just told me the other day they can track their family back to the Mayflower and beforehand. I think that was told to me in the last week. You see what I'm saying? Folks got pride. They're not giving up stuff. Now people will smile in your face and be like, yeah, it's no big deal. And I don't feel that way. That was them people. But why you mad at why would you be upset the government will give black folks money and it don't even affect your personal pocket? See, I understood when you thought it was gonna take money out your pocket, I understand natural human greed. I get that. Not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying I do understand natural human greed. But when we say, no, we want to check from the government to restore black folks for what they have been through, and people still say no. Now, why do you care if it's coming out the government pocket? You just don't want niggas to be where you at. Why? Because my forefathers fought for you niggas to be under me. This ain't affecting their pocket now. The only thing it's affecting is their family pride or their family history. My great-great-granddaddy fought for you niggas to be under me. Why would I give that up?
Very good point, Roger. Because in all actual reality, the $37 trillion that's actually owed right now, they're not going to pay it back. They have no intention of ever paying it back. So it would have literally cost nothing. 5%. They would literally just punch a bunch of numbers, and a few $1 trillion would have appeared. Checks would have been dispersed, and it would just add to this ridiculous budget already anyway. So it would have made no difference. I mean, ridiculous deficit, I should say. So
Mm-hmm. And I said
it would have made
myself, if they would just give us the monetary value of 40 acres in a mule for whatever state we happen to live in, I don't think no black person would turn that deal down.
Nope.
Maybe a very, very rich black person, maybe some very, very, but the general black person, I don't even know if they would turn. I think even on behalf of other people, even the rich black people might even accept it. So my thing is that's a cheaper way to go. To say you paid the bill, and so you can just let it be over and done with, but they ain't gonna do it because it's too much family pride. You know,
That's just the L they refuse to take. They're not gonna take that L. You want us to pay them what we know we supposed to. We wrote it down, but we just gonna continue to lie. Oh no, not us, so said the white clan. We are not doing it.
yeah,
Ain't gonna happen. We'll cut off our nose to spite our face before that happens. And they're proving that they'll do that. So what do
yeah,
you expect in this situation?
yeah. Just give everybody the value of 40 acres in a mule for their particular state, and you can wipe your hands of this whole situation. You know, but it's really that they niggas though, not them niggas. You know,
Because they're thinking about all that compound interest, Roger. Yeah, yeah, the equivalent of, the entire equivalent of it. And back pay. We know what we speaking of. Are you willing to do it? Oh, hell no. Not today, not tomorrow,
well,
not ever. 2 times on Sunday, he said.
you know, Ed, my thing is if we got the equivalent of 40 acres in a mule, that would be like the back pay anyway, because it's in the equivalent in today's terms. So my thing is you can make a deal like that and get out of it cheap. That's your way of getting out of your debt cheap. Just get everybody, okay, he live in Texas. Okay, what the going rate for an acre, the average acre in Texas costs X amount of dollars. So we're gonna give you 4 years of that. What's the price of a mule? Okay, this is the price, so we're gonna give you that. Okay, boom, you good, and it's over with.
Well,
But
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I don't want you to lose your thought. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say that the start point for the price tag on reparations right now is 20 trillion. It used to be five. Black people in the 1960s were asking, or 1950s were asking for $500 billion, and then just leave us alone. Give us the 500 billion. Leave us alone. Stop with the racism and the discrimination and self-determination, and we'll leave it. We'll call it even. And government said no. Black people said, give us the Republic of New Africa, 5 states in the South, and then that 500 billion, and then leave us alone. Government said no. And before that, black people said, hey, reparations, 1890s, give us reparations, leave us alone. No. Hey, how about just leaving us alone? No. Like at every point, no.
So what does that tell you, people? Their answer to everything is 2 letters, 1 word. No.
And that's why I'm saying that if they just did if they just simply did where they just look at, okay, what are we gonna pay the individual? Okay, if you give people individually the cost of 40 acres in a mule for whatever state they live in, they're going to take it. Now that allows you to get paid off cheaply. That allows black people to feel like they got something. Okay, and it wouldn't be. I don't think nobody would really buck at that, and it allows the government probably get off cheaper than what they would actually owe. Real talk, because I don't remember exactly what the number was, but I know when I calculated, the state of Illinois for 40 acres and a mule, and I went and actually looked up what a mule would cost. It came out to 1.2 something. I don't remember what it was. So it's less than 1.3 million they would have owed me. Now, if you stretch that out across the nation, yeah, that's going to be some big money. It might be a little bit cheaper than what they really owe, and everybody win at the end of the day. But it's because that pride. No, my great granddaddy, he died to make sure you niggas is under me. And I can't do that to my great granddad. I can't do it. You know, they shared they lives so you niggas can be under us. And you can say that no matter which side of the union they was on. Because even the people that wanted to quote unquote keep the union in place, it ain't like they wanted the slaves to get free. That
They
was
shall
not
do.
the fight.
Ask Abraham Lincoln. People ask Abraham Lincoln. Go back in time and ask him how he felt about the situation. He tell you firmly.
Yeah. So no matter which side you on, if they were on the Union side or the Confederation side, they great grand people, you know what I'm saying, died so niggas could be under them. And they just don't want to let it go. You know? So the best thing they could do to help a black man is to say, hey, we'll make sure you're not the head of your family. How about that? We'll give your family an option to not F with you.
And
Think
they
about
took
that.
that, them sisters took that deal, hook, line, and sinker, boy, quickly.
Yeah.
Well, so and the issue today is they will still openly deny that is the case. Like and they have the entire propaganda system backing them up and everybody else agreeing with it.
Yeah.
Because the thing is that, and this is what I noticed, and look, and this is not me criticizing, well, I guess it is a critique of black women, but
It don't matter.
but it's actually the truth. It's like, if something points to them as having any blame, they gotta deflect that away from them and put it on somebody else. That's been their strategy for the last 60 plus years. And even with the open source information, documentaries, the studies that have been done, testimonies. There are people who are still alive today. When they were children, they're still alive today, by the way. They can testify to the fact that the government went out to black neighborhoods saying, hey, look, we will give you this and this and this, but you can't be married and you can have kids. We'll take care of you and your kids, but not the man. He cannot be here. That they even mentioned the man in the house rule in the documentary, right? That was
So
that
So
relates to the man
basically
in the
what
house
they
rule.
did, I mean, my thing is, I'm trying to look at this in real terms. So basically what they did is they went out to women and said, why don't you have a couple nigga babies? And when you have them nigga babies, we're going to have you come over here and you ain't got to F with that nigga no more.
Yeah, that was
That's
the
what they
whole point
did.
of yeah, literally. That was one of the reasons and this is kind of legend, right? One of the reasons the projects is called the projects is because it was a project to destroy, it was a government project to actually diminish the strength of the black neighborhoods, black families, black communities, and black infrastructure. It was literally a government project to do that. That's kind of where that nickname comes from, the projects. And those homes were not, they built buildings, 5-6 stories up, a bunch of apartments. You could put, a few people in there, but no men were supposed to be in and around those areas.
Yeah. Now,
Thus the project.
let me say real quick, shout out to J Dub. He said it probably take 1.5 to 3 million. I'm pretty sure he meant billion for reparations personally to be good. Well, and my thing is I ain't did no calculation on it, but if that's true and that's all it's gonna take, then America will get off cheap. See, I came up with something where everybody could win. I'm gonna feel like okay because I got my own personal about 1.3 million. Now my brothers get their own personal around 1.3 million. My sisters get their own personal around 1.3 million. My daddy would too. My mama would too. So as a family, we got all these millions of dollars. Now we good. I can let it go now. Okay. I can let it go for such a price. Okay. And my thing is, if you spread that to black folks all across the country, I think the average black person can let the slavery thing go and actually accept that they are properly compensated at that point. And and the government get off cheap.
Well,
But
it's not just that too, Roger. You got to stop. You got to cease and desist
Roger.
with the rest of the stupid programs also.
well, my thing is, we can eliminate all programs because programs shouldn't even exist unless they're for the general welfare of the American citizen. If it's specialized welfare, it ain't even supposed to exist. But do you need to have a program if you just gave somebody around $1 million, what program do they need to be on?
Oh, well, so I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. It's not just the money. You got to actually guarantee that whatever harm that caused those problems in the first place, that forced you to get to the point of reparations for financial compensation, that can't happen again. You have to make sure and guarantee that it doesn't happen, and you have to actually enforce the law.
Well,
so
my
that way,
thing
black
is,
people and black men as a collective are not harmed for no reason other than the fact that they're black.
I do get that sentiment, but you can't control what's going to happen in the future. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, that you can just follow the laws that you already have in place, and we be pretty okay. And then you can eliminate all these programs people was on. You never have to bring them back, and everybody's good.
So I think that's it. So there you go. And when you say follow the law, right? Because there's plenty of laws that are in place. That's the issue, is that there's no enforcement, or I'll just say partial enforcement. And whatever enforcement we have of the laws right now at this point is because black men force that effort. Black men, challenge the system and say, hey, look, you guys are going to make sure you live up to these actual laws that you have in the books.
Well, this is the thing. Let's get the money distributed first before we go into all that. Because my thing was, don't mess the money up because we arguing about enforcement of the law. Give me, because the stuff that we going through anyway without the money. So give me the money first, and then we can argue about how we going to enforce the law.
Roger, if you think you're going to get money and then be left alone, then you don't know.
No, I'm not saying that, but they bothering us now, and I ain't got the money.
I got you. So
I'd rather be bothered with the money than bothered without the money. Is all I'm saying.
So yeah, cut the check, but then also make some guarantees along with that check.
That's what I'm saying. We cut the check, then we can talk about guarantees. Just cut the check, because the other stuff been going on. I don't think they're gonna try to quote unquote stop everything just because they actually paid out, if that were to happen. But at the end of the day, do you want to have that argument with the check, or you want to have that argument without the check? I'd rather have the argument with the check. That's all I'm saying. And my thing is, I'm letting America off the hook, and I can do that because it's my country, and I love my country.
So I do want to say something else too, Roger. So you're saying, do black men do better because of the government or themselves? So black men do better. Black men do well for themselves in spite of everything that's thrown against them, right? And in a lot of ways, I mean, obviously that's a good thing, right? It's very good. It's good that no matter what goes up, no matter what obstacle is thrown in black men's way, we're going to figure out a way to get it done anyway. And that's actually part of the frustration. It's like, well, doggone, we've done everything we can to kind of buck break this specific group of men, and they still are getting it done. So we know that over 60% of black men, according to this is not me coming up with this stuff off the top of my head, this is Department of Labor, over 60% are middle class. I looked it up the other day, 13% of black men are in university or trade school. 13%. That's your future middle class right there. Well, if you get a college degree or a technical skill, that's automatic. Once you get employed, you're going to be middle class right from the rip, based off the middle class, earnings range, right? And I think it goes from like 30 grand to like 90,000 or something like that, or 85,000, whatever it is. But you're going to be middle class right off the bat. So that's 13% of black men. So now you're at 70 plus percent. And then you have, I think, about 10% of black men who are retired. I got to look into that and double check that data. But my bottom line is that's 80% plus black men. Of course, you have the ones who are imprisoned, and you have the ones who are unproductive. Okay, that's a smaller group. But my whole point is that we're talking 80% plus black men that are productive, middle class or better, and not a problem to society at all, even with everything thrown against them. So it's black men getting it done. So people look at that and they go, well, shoot, if y'all can do all of that anyway, and we still screwing with you, and we still trying to shut you down, well, then we just not working hard enough to shut you down.
Yeah, it turns into a pride issue. They can't not break us. You know what I'm saying? That's their thinking. They can't just not break us. We didn't invest in too many years into trying to break these niggas. We got to break them at some point. They just don't know how to do it. And I'm just gonna say, clearly they can't do it, or they would have done it already, because they clearly been trying to do it for hundreds of years at this point. So we are greater than we even realize, because we compare ourselves to these people who haven't been through any oppression.
Yeah, and which is a false that's a false equivalence. I always correct people on that when somebody says, "Well, look at this group and look at that group. Treat them exactly the same as black men." Then
Well,
get back to me.
well, my thing is, I'm not even saying treat people poorly. I'm just saying when I started thinking about the fact that you didn't go through any of the stuff that we went through, and this is all you was able to do, you look a little funny to me. I'm just saying, bro, you look a little funny. You know, if we have a race and I don't get to eat for a week, and you can eat as much as you want, and we go out there, we gonna run the 100-yard dash. If okay, you win the 100-yard dash, right? You win, but you don't even win by a full second. I ain't ate in a week, and that's all you can do. That don't make sense to me. You know, you not that good. That's the only thing I could come to as a conclusion. You can't be that good. How did I not eat for a week and you couldn't even beat me by a full second? And if you talk about a 100-yard dash, a second is a lot. Okay, that's a whole lot in a 100-yard dash. You know, folks run that race in under 10 seconds. Okay, you can't beat me by a second, and I ain't ate in a week, and you've been eating whatever you wanted to do, been able to train however you wanted to train. You just not that good. That's the only conclusion I can come up with.
Actually, you should beat that. For a man who hadn't eaten in a week, you should beat about 5 or 6 seconds.
I'm saying
by about 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 seconds. The body
Yeah.
can go for about 3 days before you actually start to feel any major effects from protein deficiencies. About 3 days. That's what you got.
So if you can't beat me by a full second, you obviously not good. I'm not looking at it like, okay, well, he won, I lost. Yeah, that's true, but obviously this person ain't good because I ain't ate for a week. This person's just not good.
Well, okay, so that's essentially well, you take that analogy and compare it to, again, the Homestead Act, Federal Housing Administration loans, the 1790 Naturalization Act that benefited white men and white men only, Jim Crow racism, that entire institution that lasts for 100 plus years, that benefited white men specifically. And again, they're still not where they look. With all those advantages, they're still not where they could be or they should be as a collective. Now you got some that have done well for themselves. Yeah, the wealthy elite.
They are definitely not what they should be in comparison to us.
Yeah, and then at the same time, denying black men specific those same opportunities, those same programs that benefited everybody else, that benefited them, so they could pass that wealth to the next generation. Yeah, and then then the other part of it too is, remember, even when black men did do things for themselves and were isolated and said, "Hey, look, okay, fine, you ain't gonna help us. We got it. Don't worry about it. Just leave us the hell alone." Nah, we're not gonna do that either. We got to come over here and tear this down too.
And my thing is, I could understand it because when I think about it, at the end of the day, they suck. I'm just talking about as a group, not individual. Because they, people love to prop up the great white individuals. People love to talk about Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or whatever. That ain't the average white guy. It just ain't. I mean, I ain't. Them guys, they shined and actually took advantage of the systems that were set up, and they did it better than other people. That's what they supposed to do. How come other white men ain't closer to them? Like, other white men should be far more close to them with all the different advantages they had. So white men in general kind of suck. They just not good. Living and doing well in life just ain't they forte. It really ain't. Because you let the slaves catch you.
So
that don't even make sense.
I guess I would be interested if there was any women that would be interested in coming up to counter any of this topic, all the points that you came up with, because there are good points, and there's plenty of women that will counter this, but you know what, they won't do it with facts. That's the issue. I mean, you even have government representatives literally saying, and the quote unquote fake conservative Republicans running around here talking about that's these programs created incentives, and this is the result, and yet I'm telling you, when I listen to that documentary, they're talking about personal responsibility. No responsibility to the government that created the programs and the problems in the first place. None. It's individual responsibility. They create a mess and then they put the outcome of the chaos that they created on the actual victims of their of their mess.
Mm-hmm.
Like and people think and people just operate in a way that this is just normal. This is just how it is. It's not the government. It's them. It's these people. It's these black men. These awful Negroes.
But if they said something else, they be giving out indicators of how much they suck too. Because at the end of the day, people should have a huge advantage on black men, and they just don't. I mean, if we being real, everybody in this country should have a huge advantage on black men. Everybody, because ain't nobody been messed with like we been messed with. We're kind of an embarrassment to them that they'll never come out and tell us. But you can, if you really look at the full picture, you can see why they only gonna make certain moves and they only gonna say certain stuff because they should be embarrassed. You know, when you bomb people, you burn they towns down. You've taken over properties and things like that. And like I say, yo, I got to figure out where the squatters' rights came from because I do believe it did come from people getting chased out of they homes, and white folks had to come up with a system to legally take their homes over because they like everything to be in a nice little legal bow. Because you got all these black folks that got pushed off of plantations that they owned, pushed off their farms, pushed out of their home. And white folks just took that stuff over. So they had to come up with some legal way to say the white person owned it. Because you got chased out of Mississippi. You know what I'm saying? Because you stood up for yourself. You stood up for your family. Somebody touched your wife. You went and you know, I'm just as an example. Because, you know, of course, this type of stuff happened. You said something to some black man's wife, and the black man came to see you about it. And now he done bust you up real good, but now he got to leave town because he done gave you the whooping you deserve. So now we got to figure out, well, how do we take the land over? Because technically he abandoned his home. Now he had to leave because the town would have came and got him if he didn't leave. So he had to, you know, take his wife and his kids and go elsewhere. You know, so they, you know, we gonna legally take this, we gonna legally take that. So all this stuff is being done, and this as far as they can get with it. This is crazy.
Well, so in most of those instances, Roger, all they did was just change the deed over to a new family's name. Some from the black family to the white family, or
That's what I'm saying.
from the black property to the
They
white
just
property.
came up with legal systems to do that. That's all. That's exactly what I'm saying. They just, however they did it, they just made it where legally is theirs now. So they've been stealing for the longest.
Yeah, the way to do it now is through heirs property. Right?
And I'm pretty sure the squatters' rights was a idea they came up with from stealing from niggas in the South. That's why I literally believe it came from. Because why else would you have an idea of a squatter's rights? Because squatter's right is about how do I help the person who stole. Yeah. People don't think of it in those terms, but that's exactly what it is. How do I legally help the person who's stealing?
Oh, now, by the way, black people have actually been able. There's a few homeless black people that were able to take advantage of those squatters.
Well, they saw what white people did, and they used white people rules against them. That's what happened, which is cool. But I'm just saying, who even thinks to come up with an idea to say how do we help the thief?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, of course that's white men. You know.
Yeah. So. You didn't include it, Roger, but there's another documentary that might be of interest to you that's related to this topic. It's called Milton Friedman on the Welfare System. It was produced in 1978, right? And it's got Thomas Sowell in it. Also, he's doing some what do you call it? He's providing some commentary, but it's mainly about Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman is an economist, sociologist, whatever he does, I forget. But the bottom line is that, and this is a summary of it. Milton Friedman. Provides commentary on why he believes the government-run welfare programs do not help the people they are intended to help or achieve the ends they are intended to achieve, and why the welfare state leads to loss of initiative, independence, and personal liberty. So this was 1978, and they're having this discussion about these programs. So they knew as early as they knew when they implemented these programs in the 60s. By the time you get to the 70s, you already have people criticizing these programs. And these programs have been in effect since the 1960s. Again, Lyndon Johnson, Great Society programs. We're going to make sure that Black people get money because they've been held back and all this other stuff. As a matter of fact, Lyndon Johnson's Great Society speech is actually listed as it's on the list of the 100 greatest speeches of the 20th century. Did you know that? His Great
I
Society
didn't know it, but
program
I ain't
is
surprised though.
actually on the list. I looked it up. I think it's like number 70 something down the list. I looked at the list just yesterday. I was looking up Malcolm X's speeches and then and Dr. King's speeches, and at least quite a few of Dr. King's and Malcolm X's speeches actually appear on the list. But I saw some other ones that were pretty familiar. And Lyndon Johnson, the Great Society program, that's considered one of the greatest speeches in American history. Believe it or not, top 100. I am not lying.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, the greatest movie in American history is what?
Birth of the Nation.
Right. And we're not talking about the one Nate Parker was included.
1915, Birth of a Nation. It reinvigorated and reignited the Ku Klux Klan.
Yeah, that's the greatest. And see, my thing is, when you think about America, it don't surprise me that that's considered the greatest movie in America in American history. That don't surprise me at all. Now they'll dance around and give you all kind of reason why racism ain't why it's the greatest movie of American history. But it is what it is at the end of the day. They gonna find a way to make theirs shine, but if that's what they want you to see.
That movie was actually previewed at the White House by then President Woodrow Wilson.
Yeah.
And this is the same guy who came up with the 14 points plan following the First World War. This guy, which was a precursor to the United Nations.
Yeah.
So you have a guy who's done something great like the 14 points plan, right? That was a precursor to the United Nations. That gives us what it is we have today as far as the UN, which some people criticize. But at any rate, and if you look at his it's literally called Wilson's 14 points. And it's actually, again, that's actually on the list too, Wilson's 14 point speech. And they considered him a genius at that time. It was this amazing, innovative idea and this great thing coming out of this war, this First World War, right? But then he goes on to preview a racist movie at the White House, and he said it was the greatest thing ever. It was America's first blockbuster movie.
I mean, that movie was beyond a blockbuster. That movie was so far ahead of movies during that time frame. During that period, movies was because we did look it up. Shout out to Perfect Timing. We looked it up. That movie made over $1 million way back when the greatest movies of those time was barely getting 100,000. That movie did phenomenal. It's like they built theater. Technically, they literally built theaters. They changed certain venues to theaters just to sell more tickets to that particular movie. So the best response of a movie in American history was a racist one.
Yeah.
White people ain't responded like that since. Real talk. I know people can say, what about the Endgame? The response to Endgame pales in comparison to that response of Birth of a Nation. Endgame don't even come close. It don't even come close.
Endgame did not reinvigorate the Ku Klux Klan. To actually motivate them to conduct domestic terrorism and open attacks against the black population. That's the Avengers didn't do that.
Yeah. And I'm specifically using Endgame because it's the highest grossing movie of all time at this particular point. But it wasn't that thing was nothing like what Birth of a Nation did. It was not the way people wanted to see Birth of a Nation, Endgame don't come close. Not at all. Okay, I know it's hard to get that when you look at numbers, but if you look at the time frame and what people spent in a movie theater back then and how we doing that, it's way different. Endgame didn't even come close. You can have the most magical stories with Thanos and all that, but that don't come close to white people being mad at niggas. Okay, all the fantasy you want, that don't come close to white people being mad at niggas.
And then you got to ask them what were they mad at the black people for? Because what did black people do to create all of this animosity? And most of it was just black people just being successful, and then on top of that, being resistant to mistreatment.
Well, I think the major issue that has not went anywhere yet. It's just black men being men.
Yeah, yeah.
Real talk. I think that's the biggest issue in society is that you have black men being men. Because I know as I go out and about in society, a lot of folks have a problem with me because I'm just being a man. And I don't hide. I don't put my head down when people talking to me. I look people in their eye. You know, if you threaten me, I'll threaten you. Yeah, I ain't got no issue with that. You know what I'm saying? If you let me know it's got to be some smoke, I'm gonna make sure I win. I don't be looking for smoke, but people will be steady bringing it to me. I don't mind treating you the way you should be treated, not necessarily the way you want to be treated. The way
Well,
you
I mean,
should be treated.
you just meet their energy. That's all it is. You know, if you say that, and then what happens is it forces people to think like, oh, you know, because you know they'll try to frame. Oh, well, you're threatening me, or you know, what you gonna do? Like, well, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just gonna meet your energy. And then like, oh, okay, that makes them think. Like, okay, so whatever harm I bring to you, you're gonna bring me equal harm and possibly greater harm. Okay, so yeah, that sounds about right. I'm gonna leave you alone. Thank you very much. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Like that's. And you know, if you just leave it at that, then that actually pretty much shuts down anything else they might say, and then that forces them to reconsider any actions that they might take against you. Like, are you threatening me? No, I'm gonna meet your energy, whatever that is. So you come at me with a blunt object, you're getting a blunt object right back at you. You come at me with force and putting your hands on me, you're gonna catch these hands too. Like that's how it's gonna go.
Oh,
And
well,
I maintain the right to self-defense, and I'm authorized to do that. I never relinquish that right, and I know you wouldn't either. So you know, if you come at me, then it's gonna be what it is. So you're gonna have to make a decision here. You want to go? You want to go to jail? Or you want to go home? Or you want to be on your back looking at the roof for the church? Which one? Pick one.
And if you the wrong color, my thing is, man, you playing a dangerous game because I can't guarantee you gonna make it out of here. That's my you know. There's white folks I told I can't guarantee you gonna live through this. You know what I'm saying? Now
Yeah,
you
Roger.
do that what you want to do with it.
I didn't want to take it over. Did anybody else have anything else to say? I didn't want to hog the conversation too much.
No, I don't think you hogging. AL don't have no problem jumping in when he wants to jump.
Okay, yeah. So check this out. So in that documentary I just mentioned, the one in 1978 with Milton Friedman and Thomas Sowell, 5 minutes into the documentary, they actually have a black family, and this is a married a two-parent family, and they're talking about how the system that has been set up by the United States government that's supposed to help black families actually harms black families. You have a black family providing first-person testimony and experience with this quote-unquote welfare system that's supposed to be designed to help families actually harming the family. So the black man is employed he works at a hospital. He's like he's not a nurse or something, but he does like cleanup work at the hospital or something like that. And he does like blood work and he does a bunch of miscellaneous tasks related to hospital duties. But I can't remember what his specialty is. And the woman is trying to be a stay-at-home mother. She works. She's not complete stay-at-home, but she's working part-time. And they have two children. One of the children has a disability that requires, special attention. And they actually sought government help to offset the cost of what it was going to take in order to take care of their child with that disability. And do you know they sat there and they're interviewing with this interviewer, and they're explaining, look, I understand that these programs are designed to help the family, but the way it's structured, it's actually better for me not to be here, and it's set up to actually break up the family. You have a black man literally telling that to an interviewer, and the woman and his wife, shout out to his wife, by the way, is seconding. She gives him a second and reinforces his actual talking points to the interviewer. So shout out to the man for bringing it up and pointing it out, and then his wife for supporting him.
Well, my thing is this. Well, I mean, and that's great that they did that. You know what I'm saying? I wish I'd have seen it, but that's great that they did that because I don't think I've seen that one per se because I think I remember that. Now, my thing is because I do live in this country, I figured out a long time ago, you better off just getting it yourself. Because the strings the American government wants to put on top of you getting it from them, the strings are so heavy. You know what I'm saying? It's no point. You know.
Well, but here's the thing, though. I suspect what they did is they had a two-tier system. That program was available to everybody, specifically white people. With let's say a white
No,
family had a
no,
disabled kid.
I'm saying any. I'm pretty much saying any system in America is better to get it on your own than get it from there. And I'm yeah, and I was talking only from the perspective of black men, or even if you want to say black people as a whole. Now we better off just getting it ourselves. You know, I mean, I don't think there's any system in America that the government is involved with that ain't two tiers. Plenty of systems in America that ain't technically the government's that is two tier. What it takes for a white man to get hired is not what it takes for a black man to get hired. That's just the way it is at the end of the day. What it takes for a white man to get a loan is not the same that it takes for a black man to get a loan. Even though you can have on paper, everything is the same. But based on how America moves, I don't see it moving the same way.
So Roger, so what do you say to people? Because this is the argument today. I'm not playing. This is a serious discussion by non-black people that you as a black man have exactly the same opportunities as everybody else. Because there are no laws preventing you from having the exact same opportunities as it relates to equity, equality, whatever you can do for yourself, as long as you're qualified and you have nothing against you and no marks on your record, then you have the exact same opportunities as that white man. What do you say to that?
Prove it.
Yeah, okay, that's not true. As a non-FBA black man, I can tell you that's not true. So,
I mean,
usually non-FBA black men don't have the same opportunity as white men.
I could find a white man somewhere that believes it's actually true.
Well, even non-FBA black men don't have the same opportunity as white men. So that's not even a true thing. That basically, like, any black man has the same opportunity as a white man.
And just so you know, Roger, when I ask them that question, usually that's when they start to stammering and the stuttering, and then that's usually that's the point when I get kicked off the panel. But usually,
no, I totally get you. And my thing was, if they say something like that, I would definitely say I would definitely insist that they prove it. Let's start giving me some examples of what you're talking about.
Well, part of their proof or their supposed proof is there are no laws that prevent you from actually having the same opportunity.
I totally get that, because that's the stance. The laws are the same for both people. Okay, cool. But since the law is the same and there is no difference, just simply prove it. Because I say that myself in certain scenarios. Like, I've said the same thing about women can do anything men can do. But if somebody asked me to prove it, you think I could? We don't have women we can point out that have done all kinds of stuff. That's easy to prove. Easy to prove. So my thing is, if I say prove it, well, you can start showing me black men getting ahead just like everybody else get ahead, which you wouldn't be able to do. How you gonna prove it? Black men who get ahead gotta do more than everybody else. That's always been the way. So at least since I've been alive.
Remember during the pandemic when 10 million plus jobs were available, and then that article came out about the 50 billion that's being lost by virtue of black men not being employed. And then in addition to that article, there was other studies and supplementary articles pointing to the fact that companies were refusing to hire black men.
Absolutely. And black men generally have an experience that you have to actually train your supervisor.
Yeah. But at the same time, they were whining about $50 billion being lost because black men were not working.
Yeah, 50 billion they didn't want.
Yeah, 50 billion. They're willing to lose $50 billion every year, and intentionally and deliberately refuse to employ qualified and black men who are willing to work for obviously a market wages.
And my thing is, if I got to train my supervisor, that don't sound like people is getting positions over because of merit. Why would you ever need to train your supervisor? Like, that's a sentence that should never be uttered. Yeah, I had to train my supervisor. How he gonna supervise you and you train him? That don't even make no sense.
Yeah, but interesting enough, black women have that problem too. They'll say that's happened to them numerous times. They'll say the same thing. And remember, black women are losing all these jobs over the last few
Black
months.
women lie a lot too, though. That's the issue with them.
Those jobs being gone, that's not a lie. That's actually happening.
Now,
But
but
the
them
issue is that
training
when it
their
happens to black
supervisors.
men,
Well, I'm just
when it
saying,
happens,
but when black women training their supervisors, I don't know. I ain't never heard no stories like that. You know what I'm saying? I've never not known the black men who had trained their supervisor. I can't even think of one black woman off the top of my head that ever told me she had trained a supervisor. I can't think of one.
Now, good for me, it doesn't work that way in the military. Now, that's
No,
why I haven't
and
seen
it shouldn't
it
work
can't
that
work
way
that way in the military.
anywhere. But my thing is, I don't want to equate something that. I mean, I think if black women were training their supervisor, I think we would know it by now. I'm just gonna say that. I think we would know it by now. And the fact that you said that, and I've never heard one black woman actually say that, not one in my entire life, sound like they just doing what a lot of women do. They just repeat what men say.
Yeah, I can't necessarily argue with that.
I mean,
They
do
do
you
you.
know any black woman who's ever told you on a personal level that they had the training supervisor?
Not on a
I've
personal
never
level,
heard a
not.
black woman say that you.
Yeah, but
I've heard plenty of them say that they have to do the work of a supervisor, though, Roger.
I've heard some women say they had to work and it was unfair and that what they supervisor supposed to do, but I ain't never heard one say they trained they supervisor. Now my thing is, I can walk into a room of any room of random black men and say, "Have you ever trained your supervisor?" And I'm pretty sure most of them would say, "Yes, I either trained them personally myself or I helped train them."
Well, I mean, there's actual proof of it with black men. Matter of fact, so remember again, this was the earlier group of South Africans that came in. There were black men that worked on farms for decades. Well, like there was one guy, he worked for 30 plus years on one farm, actually looking to retire. And essentially, the people that he trained a lot of people, and he saw the black workers disappear slowly but surely to eventually they got to him, and he was gone too.
Yeah, and I know even myself personally. Now I've been in a position where I've refused it or whatever here and there because some people asked me to train my supervisor, and I said I'm not management. I can't help you. They was mad as I don't know what. But
That's actually a good response. Like, yeah, aren't you supposed to be doing that?
yeah, I don't train people. That's not what I do.
It's not even in your job description.
Exactly.
Now,
I said that to them. That's not in my job description to train people. I'm not management.
well, how do they get away with it though? But they can slide by with by saying, well, it's an additional duties.
No, they just had to go get somebody else to do it. My thing is, I'm not doing it. I'm not management. Now, if you want to make me a manager and up my pay, I'll train as many people as you need me to train. But
Okay.
why would I be? Excuse me. Why would I be a person who's not in management and I need to concern myself with training my boss?
Yeah.
If I can train my boss, I can be the boss.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's supposed to go up, not that's supposed to your training is supposed to come from the top down.
Yeah, I don't train bosses. Yeah. that ain't me. I don't train bosses. I get trained by my boss. I do not train bosses. Okay.
So what's your solution as it relates to I mean, I see what it is you're doing. You're talking about it. You're putting out the information. But we're decades into this, and that narrative is still black men abandon their kids. You gotta, in order for you to believe that, you have to already hate black men, right? You already have to have anti-black male bias, in addition to just be willing to accept propaganda even when you provide evidence to the contrary. I've been telling people that there are more black children born inside of wedlock than out of wedlock by black men. And people start, again, the stuttering and stammering and no, we got an absent father problem. And that's the other thing too. I was like, no, we don't. Those women know exactly where the men are who fathered those kids. They need to get that handled.
What the thing is, you gotta, the people gonna do what they want to do. The issue that black men need to do, which I've said before, the issue is not where the father is. The issue is where the kids are. If you don't take it as a problem that the kids are not with the father, that's always going to be an issue. See, my thing is, I'm never going to blame a father for his kids not living with him. I'm going to blame the mother for the kids not living with him. Because where they living if they're not living with him? They usually with the mother, right? So that's the problem. Kids are supposed to be raised by their fathers. Okay?
Yeah.
If you want better kids, you give the kid a father. We got all the social science we need for that for everybody to understand that those are the facts. If you want your kids to be raised better, you give them a father. So wherever the father is, if the kids are not with him, who is the problem? The problem is whoever keeping the kids away from him.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? You got to change your mindset. You know, it is what it is. Shout out to Trust. I see you. Appreciate you. It's that simple to me. I'm not. My thing is non-black people. I don't care what they think, because they only care about white supremacy if they're having these arguments with you. That's real talk. I'm not saying don't talk to it, because spreading the word is always good. Spreading the right word is always good. But at the end of the day, I don't care about what them people think. They not important, and that's just real talk. My thing, they don't have no value. Okay, you can't be against me and have value to me. Those two things ain't gonna happen at the same time. Okay, you can't be against me and have value to me. Point blank. Period. If you're not on my side, you ain't got no value.
I get it. You don't care about what non-black people think, right? Because there's no reason to, right? Now, do you care about it to the extent that they have the ability to come up with policies, programs, and legislation that harm you? Because that's as far as my concern goes.
Well, my thing is that's beyond what they think. That now you're talking about what they control. That's a different thing.
Yeah, that's my point. So yeah, so what they think is not important, but what they're doing with that ideology, that's what's important.
Well, my thing is they're gonna do it anyway. They're just trying to justify their reason for doing it for other people. My thing is we have to accept that people are doing exactly what they want done for the reasons they want it done. It's that simple at the end of the day. They don't care nothing about the stats. They just want done what they want done. And when it comes to America, America does not want to actually have black men do anything on their own, because we're every time we do so, we're an embarrassment to them. And that's what, probably something we probably should be paying far more attention to than we have. We embarrass them at every turn. These niggas done got free. These niggas done got educated. These niggas done built up homes. These niggas done participated in society. And now, if we look at it from a financial standpoint, we done had a 400-year head start, and we only make about 10,000 a year more than these niggas. That's an embarrassing thing. We probably should have been figured this out. If we gonna be embarrassed, we need to be embarrassed that we ain't figured out enough that we embarrassing them. It is an embarrassment to you that some people come out of slavery, and as soon as they can get their own land where the white people aren't, they start to do better. You bomb them, they still do better. You burn their towns down, they still do better. You flood their towns, they still do better. I mean, props to them for keeping up the propaganda like they don't want to be around us, but they sure can't seem to live without us.
Yeah, and they certainly can't. They certainly can't leave black men alone. That's for sure. They certainly can't do that.
One thing black men have never did was beg to be around them. You do not see that happening. We ain't never had a movement so we can live around them.
You actually have a point there. That's a good point.
Yeah. Every time when they're not in the room, things just seem to go so much smooth. Real talk. Which is why they always trying to be in the room. Just is what it is. So I think black men, we got to really start conceptualizing things that makes far more sense to us. Now, and I was thinking about this too yesterday and the day before. I think it's been great for me that I grew up and I went to all this black stuff. Because I think about the grammar school I went to, bunch of black kids. I think about the high school I went to, way more black kids than anybody else. Okay. You know, I was trying to be a rapper. So I immediately was around a bunch of other black people. Okay. You know, even jobs I had, I was around black people. Now I had so many different jobs. Yes, I had to start being around white people and things too. You know, you start going up to college campuses, things like that. You start being around these white people too. But my thing is, I think my foundation was so black, it made it easy for me to see the problem with the white people that other people act like they can't see. You know, and I'm not saying people necessarily get the education that way, but there's just stuff I noticed. You know what I'm saying? When white people come around and they're not controlled, black people start having problems. You know, you don't just let white people do what they want to do. You don't trust them like that. And people say, you better trust people and all that. I mean, realistically, I feel way more comfortable in the gang infested neighborhood, as they say, than at a police station. Because I can be an innocent guy at a police station and got a far greater chance of something happening to me than if I go hang out with some black people, you know? And then people say, well, things that happen to you in your own place. Well, I mean, technically that's true because wherever you are, the people of that community going to do something to you. Now, I've been robbed twice by black people, y'all. Some black men got me twice, but police got me twice too. The black men ain't paid to protect me. The white people were.
Yeah, there's a problem.
You know, some people say, well, you go into the neighborhoods and you're going to run into the same problem. I run into just as amount of problem with police than I do with niggas. Matter of fact, I run into more problem with police. So, I didn't live the black experience. I hang around black people. I like black people. I don't be having problems around black people. It's when white people come around that problems seem to start. Just see what it is.
A lot of white folks ain't gonna take too counter to those statements there, Roger. And if they're offended, they actually ship it. See, the problem is that they're not offended enough that they won't do anything to eliminate those problems. That would be my critique, is that they may be offended, but they're not offended enough.
I'll walk through
to do anything about it.
I'll walk through guys that obviously in gangs and things like that. I walk down the street past them on my way to the store and all that. Don't feel bad at all. You know when I started to feel uncomfortable? When too many cops around that happen to be white. That's when I feel uncomfortable. What are all these cops over here for? What mess is they up to? Who they trying to steal from? Who they trying to kill on the slide? Black people walk in the room, I'm fine. Too many white men walk in the room, I know they conspiring. You know, I can deal with two white guys in the room, and that's it. That third guy come in, I know they conspiring. Just either what it is. You know, it could be in a positive way, but a lot of times it's gonna be in a negative way.
So maybe there need to be laws against. I mean, there were laws in place to actually keep black people from congregating.
I mean, technically they still are. Technically, you know,
because if too many black people around, they got to be conspiring against. There's got to be some kind of conspiracy going on to do something.
I mean, it just is what it is, man. You know, I mean, I understand that a lot of people put a lot of money into saying we're supposed to see stuff a certain way, but just because you put it on TV don't mean I can't see what's going on in real life. In my real everyday life, who's causing problems for me? White people. Black people ain't causing me problems like that. And that's just reality at the end of the day. Okay? I ain't got too many problems caused by no black person, but I could show, well, I say, okay, women, you know, but that's relationship stuff. Well, when you talking about non-relationship problems, yeah, I don't seem to run into an issue with black folks. Yeah, I mean, Well, I'll say this because it's really about black men. If I can go somewhere and I can see black men, I skate through real easy. Everything's fine and easy. Like, have y'all ever went to the DMV and been serviced by like men? If you get all men, everything's a smooth transition. I swear. I swear,
there's
yeah.
usually not a lot of men working in those places, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was at the DMV a couple of weeks ago. I only saw one dude there, one guy.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean,
He was
don't
working the
get it
grounds too. That
twisted.
was it. He was not behind the counter. He was working the grounds.
Yeah, I ain't gonna say I ran into many men at the DMV, but there was a time I just got a bunch of dudes and everything just everything was so fast, everything was so smooth. Hey, it just is what it is. But my thing is black people don't seem to make much of an issue for me. It's when white people come around. And I'm really talking about the men, because sometimes the girls are just like black men, so they not gonna cause a problem. Now, if they like white men, they could be problematic. I'm not gonna tell y'all that ain't the truth. But
I
if
was
they
gonna
in the
say, be
white men, they can
careful.
be very much problematic. Okay, so, but I'm gonna take if you say you got to pick one door or the other door and go to that group of people, and you put one door was a bunch of black people behind it, and the other one got a bunch of white people behind, I ain't never picking the white folks. Because what do I know about white people? They kill, steal, and destroy. That's what they do as a group. That's why I judge every white person as an individual. Because as a group, they kill, steal, and destroy. I don't see them doing anything else other than that. Well, lying too. Well, if I start saying what they really do, it's usually a bunch of negative stuff that's gonna come up first. They lying about stuff. They're gonna do the kill, steal, and destroy. Then they're gonna lie about killing, stealing, and destroy. And they're gonna blame somebody else. And we didn't do that. Somebody else did that. We got here was already like that. Now, if you get the footage, you'll see they did it.
I'm laughing because it's so funny because that's exactly what they're doing. As a matter of fact, they're actually offended if there's any implication that you know what it is they're doing.
I mean, it is what it is, man. As a group of people, I have no use for white people. And that's real talk. You know what I'm saying? That's why I got to deal with them on an individual basis. As a group, I ain't got no use for them folk. Real talk. You know what I'm saying? They seem to just be totally involved in all kinds of bad behavior. And to me, it just seems like natural at this point. If you leave white people alone, they're gonna do evil stuff. That's just what it seemed like to me. Y'all can say whatever y'all want to say. To me, that has been my experience my entire life. If you leave white people alone and just let them be by themselves for a while, they're gonna come up with nasty, evil, and terrible ideas. That's just so my thing. I accept that's just who they are as a people. That's why you don't want too many of them around you. Real talk, you know. And I could really get into explaining them even more of this stuff, but that'd be a whole different show. And y'all, we at the 3-hour mark, so I'm gonna get ready to wrap this up. So, AL, any last comment you want to say? Okay, I'm gonna assume AL may have walked away or something. AL going
I'm
once?
Gucci.
Oh,
I'm
there you go.
Gucci. I'm
Okay,
Gucci.
he said he Gucci. All right, no placeholder. Any last comment you want to get in?
Yeah, I just want to say, from my perspective, I do support reparations for Black Americans, FBA, ADOS, whatever you want to call it. So that's my comment.
Hey, appreciate that, brother. Appreciate it. H Rebels, any last comment?
Yes, I have some comments, Roger, and I will say this: whenever this discussion is brought up about Black men, fatherlessness or fatherless homes, absent fathers, anything about fathers not being in the homes, the conversation needs to be honest. You got to redirect it and frame it properly, and then on top of that, come in with your sources and just upset the whole scenario. Because when you start talking about the Moynihan Report, when you start talking about these documentaries, and even when you watch a documentary or even a study as it relates to what the quote unquote problem is, you have to be very critical, conduct more of a deeper analysis versus just a surface analysis of what it is they're saying, what's being presented to you as far as the information, and where the blame actually is, and be prepared to ask hard questions about who's doing what those policies are, break it down, and then what the incentives are and everything associated with it to find out the actual root of the problem. Because if you're not doing that, then you are not serious about this discussion at all. And that's what that's what I would say about that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say even when it comes to stuff like that, from a surface level, what I will say is this: I do understand there was a time where they justified these programs by saying what people had to go through. Well, now we do have hindsight. They didn't have it back then, but we got it right now. At the end of the day, them people would have been far better off just walking away from them white folks. And let's just keep it real. If you look at where they were then and how things are right now, the best thing black folks could have did was just get up and walk out the room from white folks. And they'd have been much better off, plain and simple. From a surface level standpoint, the only reason black people went through some of the stuff they did because they started listening to white people, y'all. Y'all, there is something real that goes on in America amongst black people. And I'm telling y'all, and I'm not saying this as an insult to anybody who's a quote unquote white ally, but overexposure to white people causes you problems. And you need to recognize that. Okay? Stop being overly exposed to white people. It ain't good for black people. Real talk. Y'all feel about that how y'all want to. It ain't gonna change nothing. But you can feel about it how you want to. Y'all have a good rest of y'all day. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Everybody, like the video, okay? Like it. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. Long live the habitual line steppers. I'm Roger. I'm right. And I'm out.